Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
100% ready to go. It's been a long time coming, and I just can't wait to be out there. That's why we play football in the SEC, trying to go get it done.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. Obie, I'm going to need you to solve Varsity's horns off for me real quick as we get started on here on the program.
Whose horns?
Varsity.
Oh, Varsity. I thought you said RC's.
Yeah, no.
RC do to you?
No, please don't do anything to RC. He's a beloved figure here on TexAgs Live. Hey, we're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Typically, we start off with a football take to start the show. But today, I'm going to pivot. All right? We'll get to football here in a moment.
Of course.
I'm going to start off at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. By the way, we are partying tomorrow at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center.
It's always a good time.
Not there. We're partying at the South College Station location.
Right. It's a good time.
Andrew Monaco.
Yeah. Awesome.
I like him. The voice. He'll be there. Michael Early.
Okay.
You love him
like
too?
Michael
please.
Early,
Yeah. Billy Lucci.
I like him too.
Seth McKinney.
Love the McKinney brothers.
And Steve McKinney.
Yeah.
Ryan Brodiger.
Okay, he's all right. He's all right.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew Dawson's there. Give us the update on that beatdown last night in Austin as I'm yelling.
Well, the Texas A&M Aggie volleyball team defeated the number 7 ranked Texas Longhorns in Austin in a decisive 5-game win. I mean, they won 3-2, 25-27. They lost the first set. They won the second set, 25-14. Lost the third set, 23-25, right? So they're down 2-1. Then they come back and sweep the next 2 sets. It was Texas's first home loss in conference in 79 games. It was A&M's first win over Texas since 2010. It was their first win over Texas in Austin since 2001. That was when I was born, by the way.
Thanks.
2001.
That's
just to make you feel
I was
better.
out of college. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
so that was Texas's first ever SEC loss. And Luke Evangelist on Twitter, I saw that he posted this.
This is a good one,
Our
yeah.
very own. Back-to-back seasons with a top 10 win on the road for Jamie Morrison. Will likely be ranked in the top 25 next week. And he's got a top 5 recruiting class. So if you didn't buy your stock before, then you're missing out. But you can still buy it because it's still
This show bought our stock very early on.
very early.
Very, very early on.
Yeah, what a job he's done.
Yeah.
And to say they could be in the top 20, how could they not be in the top 25 after that?
And didn't Texas have a really good season last year?
Yeah, I think they
Yeah, I would say that they had a pretty good season.
Yeah.
national champions.
Didn't
but
they
you know
beat
what?
I mean,
A&M last year?
yeah, I mean,
So what do we do? We won.
we won.
In Austin.
In Austin.
Yeah, let's see if that doesn't kind of set the tone for the weekend. You know, you took care of the Wicked Witch of the West last night.
Right.
Let's take care of the Wicked Witch to the East on Saturday.
Well, Olin Buchanan, I want to talk some football with you now, if you're okay.
I'm okay. There's
You know,
never a bad time to talk about football.
The road between me and you is that sometimes I want to talk too much football on the show.
Okay. I don't think you can ever I don't think you can ever talk too much football.
Yeah, there is a rub between us, by the way. The rub. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about
Okay, Deshaun.
He just tore his Achilles.
We're talking football.
Yeah. Oh, football. All right. So Mike Elko yesterday on the Aggie Football Happy Hour, a couple things that he talked about. Approach to practicing ahead of night games. I don't know if you saw this quote. I like this because I think you know this about me. I like process-driven personalities, right? Like the results will come with the process, right?
Yes.
If you are result-driven, you sometimes skip steps in between, right?
And then you don't get the result.
And then you don't get the results. To me, those who do their work a certain way every time, or most of the time, are going to get to the desired result or the desired outcome a little bit quicker. This is what he said about his approach to practicing ahead of night games. When you're in college, you don't get to flip your schedule around. You don't get to change classes. We're in a rhythm. We're practicing in the morning. From our standpoint, we didn't want to go to the mornings because the hardest kicks are at 11 a.m. We like to get the boys up and early, get a good breakfast, and get them the practice done in the morning. He's not changing a thing. It doesn't matter if the game's at 6:30 or 11 a.m. They've got their process.
Yeah, I don't know. I never went to college, so I don't know if this is how college kids are. But when I was college age, I could get up and go to work at 11 and still, like late at night, would still be.
Wasn't a problem.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Even after college for a few years, that was kind of my mindset. And now, as you know, 9:15, sleep.
So, but you're in your, mid to late 40s now?
I'm 48.
Yeah, it's different.
I'm an old man. Yeah.
But you're not in college. I think college kids can get up that early, go to practice, and still be able to take care of things for a 6:30 kickoff is what I'm getting at.
But I've also learned about high school age kids, and I assume this is the same way for people like Matthew Dawson and Cade Bickham in the back, is that they can certainly sleep through any alarm when it comes to stuff that they're supposed to do. They won't if it's like a battle pass on, what's that game called, Fortnite. If there's you got to wake up at 3 a.m. to get they'll wait, their alarm will. But if it's to cut the yard, if it's to, leave early for school because dad's got to get stuff done,
Dad,
I didn't hear the alarm. I didn't hear it.
They're going to hear the alarm. Those Aggies are going to hear the alarm.
They are going to hear the alarm.
LSU should be alarmed.
Yes.
I'd like to think so.
Here's another one. Elko on the culture of the program. You have kids opting out, refusing to play. We have kids who transferred in, have 1 year to play, lost a starting job, and are special team player of the week. You want to run a program with your kids that they're really proud of. And I think that's what we've seen with this group.
Yeah, he's talking about the Shields, Solomon Shields, that was named the special teams player of the week. And I'm sure he came here thinking, hey, I'm going to be the starter at linebacker. And he's played. Yeah. He's played. But guys like Scooby are playing so well in York and Damian Sanford playing so well. I think that it probably makes it easier to accept when you look at and as a player and you say, yeah, that guy's really playing well.
Yep.
Right? Like if I was a backup running back, I would personally have no issue. Well, of course you're going to let Le'Veon Moss and Mari Daniels go. Look how they're producing.
So I got a message from a Texas friend who's like, how are you feeling about this game? You have to admit Connor has not been good this year. And I was like, I'm not willing to go there. I think he's had a not a good game against Mississippi State. Not a good game.
Mediocre versus Mississippi State.
Mediocre. There you go. He didn't look good against Notre Dame. He looked excellent against Missouri.
Right.
And I don't really count the McNeese game in my assessment, right? So, I want him to be better.
He needs to be better.
But I can look at every quarterback in the SEC pretty much and be like, you know what? This guy hasn't had, if you want to inflate your numbers against the mediocre teams, and then when you get to the big games, your numbers don't look as bad. Like, Connor's got 3 games this year.
Right.
Right? Is it 3 or 4? Hold on.
Well,
4.
He's played in 4.
Four, right? While others have 7. So, for instance, Quinn Ewers, I forget, was he in the Michigan game? He was, right? That was week 2. He played in that one. And Michigan's a pretty good defense. Quinn Ewers struggled against Georgia, for sure, right?
Yeah.
And has inflated some of his numbers against mediocre teams. That's what a good quarterback's supposed to do. I'm not knocking him. What I'm saying is if Connor had the ability to play some of the lesser teams when he wasn't hurt, potentially his numbers would be better. I agree he has to be better against LSU, 1,000%. I also think it's premature to say he's been bad this year.
Well, I think the inconsistency is somewhat concerning. I think great quarterbacks play great in great games.
Yep.
And they need Connor to be closer to what he was against Missouri than what he was against Mississippi State.
Right.
The what he was against Notre Dame, you just understand that's probably never going to happen again, but if it does, you're not going to win. But if he's closer, then you have a great chance to win if he's closer to what he was against Missouri, because obviously he was tremendous against Missouri. He was okay at times. There were times when he was sharp against Mississippi State, especially early. First 2 drives, bam, bam, bam. But then there was some interception issues, as we know and, we've talked about.
Right. Should we do our Heisman watch? Because we usually do it at 8:20. But we got a guest today. We're going to talk to an LSU insider at 8:20. I got to send you his contact info here, Nick.
Well, I don't have the numbers with me.
That's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. We can move back to the desk. We're right now at the Holistic Planning Investment Tax Estate Cool Zone. By the way, if you're ready to invest in pro sports, go to investinprosports.com and start investing in pro sports. Why don't you put the graphic up if you can, Nick, so we can walk on over to the desk. Let's go through these 5 because I've got the names in front of me, OB.
Yeah, not a lot changed. In fact, I don't think anything changed.
Caleb Johnson, Iowa running back at number 5.
Yeah, I can't even remember right now if
he's number 2.
If they play, he's number 2 in the country in rushing. And gosh, right now I can't recall if he even played last week, but I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, right. I believe they did, right? Iowa.
And I think he had 90. Played Michigan State.
They lost Michigan
He had
State.
98 yards.
They got rocked by Michigan State.
But he had 98 yards. He had a pretty solid game last week. So I didn't see any reason to drop him. I didn't see anybody else out there nationally that I thought jumped out at me and said, okay, I have to put this guy on, even though Matthew Dawson's trying to push me to include the Navy quarterback. So yeah, that's who I had at number 5. Number 4, Kyle McCord. He's second in the nation in passing. Last week, I think they were off, but in their most recent game, he completed 31 of 42 for 346 yards and 2 touchdowns against North Carolina State. He has thrown for at least 339 yards and 2 touchdowns in every game this year. So he's been the model of consistency. We talk about, Connor, what you're looking for with him is some consistency. Kyle McCord has been the model of consistency. Number 3 on that list is, I believe, if my memory serves, I had Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel,
the quarterback of Oregon. And
I got some notes for you. 257 yards and 2 touchdowns in every game for the number 1 ranked Ducks last week. 84% of his passes were completed.
21 of 25, 290 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Look, he's the quarterback of the number 1 team in the nation. That almost always ensures that you're a Heisman Trophy contender. And number 2, did not play last week.
That's your guy, though.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ashton Jeanty of Boise State.
You were on his train early in the process, I believe.
Earlier
than most. How about that?
Well, I saw him against Oregon.
Right.
And I'm like, in that game against Oregon, he had 192 yards on 25 carries and 3 touchdowns, and they didn't give him the ball enough. They would have won the game if they had given the ball more. His last game was against Hawaii. He rushed for 31 times for 217 yards and a touchdown. He leads the nation with 1,248 yards. He's averaging, his average dipped below 10. He's averaging 9.9 yards.
Oh, God, what a disaster.
Yeah. And, hey, this week he actually faces a pretty decent defense. He's going against UNLV, which is 20th in the nation in run defense. So he's going to get a challenge, but is UNLV going to be able to slow him down? I don't know. I don't know if anybody can slow down this young man. He's really having that kind of year. And then number 1, still on my list, and I know there are those that disagree with me and say it's got to be Jeanty, but I can't find a reason to drop Cam Ward, the Miami Hurricanes quarterback. Big game last week. They've had a big game against Louisville on the road. He completes 21 of 32 for 319 yards, had 4 touchdowns. Again, he leads the nation, 2,538 yards, 24 touchdowns. Also run for, I think, 3 or 4 touchdowns. And he's been over 300 yards passing in every game this year. You know what? He's gone over 400 twice.
Look, I don't think he's going to end up winning it, but I love watching him play. He's electric. Is there a way that Travis Hunter can get on your list?
Well, again, I always say that, Travis Hunter's a top 5, probably first-round draft choice. But what makes him one of the most outstanding? When you look at, he's like number 3 in the Big 12 in receiving.
Yep.
So he's having a really good year. He's missing a lot of time with injuries. I think he has 2 interceptions, so I know that's a big part of it. But when I look at, say, all right, who's truly the most outstanding? I'm not saying best player, but who's doing things each week that just commands attention. Sell me on Travis Hunter, other than the fact that he plays both ways a lot.
All right, let's do this. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us up, 979-693-1150. If you text us, we'll pick it up on the Little Sluggers text line. Appreciate Little Sluggers and all they do for TexAgs. But right now, let's go around the room. Say hi to the people. We go behind the glass, and we say hi to the Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up with you?
Well, nothing groundbreaking, analysis-wise from me today, but I'm just excited. Yesterday, I spent a lot of the day. I watched the show, obviously, pay attention to it.
Oh, thank you.
Listen in, and all I can think about is just how awesome the Kyle Field environment is going to be this weekend. And we talk a lot about, biggest games at Kyle Field with the most implications, and this is the first one in a long, long time. So apparently, according to Cade, he's a senior. He's a grad student, and he's pulling, middle, third deck tickets. That tells me that, man, it's going to be packed out, and it's going to be a lot of fun there on Saturday.
I've been trying for months to find tickets. My son, I know we're not supposed to give them to the visiting team and everything. And
does he root for A&M if it's not against LSU?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can stay. And he always roots for the basketball team because he was a ball boy for 3 years.
Right.
But I get it. LSU's a school. There's no tickets to be found. Or if there are, they're not in my price range. So it's going to be an amazing atmosphere. Hopefully, A&M's able to take advantage of that, capitalize on that home field advantage, and pull out a win.
Let's hope so. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew Dawson, I'll give you time for one or two quick stories.
Well, we talked about the volleyball team. You kind of got this equinox of Aggie sports right now. A lot of stuff going on. I'll talk about Aggie baseball.
That is the way you talk like a smart engineer.
I feel like equinox, sports equinox, I feel like it comes around every few years.
That may be the first time I've ever heard that phrase.
I've seen
equinox.
I've heard of the Chevy equinox.
Sports equinox is like when there's like NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL,
I just call it overlap because I'm not.
I get it. Same day.
I get what you're saying.
By the way,
you don't have to explain it. I'm just saying I haven't heard that term.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not that equinox is like a hard word. It's just it sounds like what a smart person would say. So
we just want to believe that I'm smart because you asked me to help your kids with physics.
I did help. Yeah. So I took advantage of my friendship with Matthew, and I probably shouldn't have. I asked if he knew anybody where he could help out, teach a little bit of physics. He said, I'll do it. I'll come by.
Guy's a genius. What's he doing here? Right. He's just trying to make us look bad.
He ain't that smart. If he's a genius, he's working.
Trying to make us look bad by saying sports equinox.
Working in sports.
Okay, sports equinox. Now let me explain to you what it meant.
All right.
We love you, Matthew.
All right. Awesome.
Still 5'4".
I'm sure you do. You got Aggie baseball and basketball. Both got exhibition games this weekend. Aggie baseball is tomorrow at 6 p.m. Free admission into Bluebell. So make sure you're there for that. Aggie basketball exhibition match for charity on Sunday, 4 p.m. in Houston. It's going to be streamed on ESPN Plus, I believe. So kind of a rematch of March Madness in that round of 32. And then other places, Aggie soccer plays number 4 Arkansas today on the road at 6:30. Arkansas's second place in conference at 7-1, 12-1-1 overall. And then later in the weekend on Sunday, they host number 3 Mississippi State. So the number 1 team, Mississippi State in conference, number 2 team in Arkansas. They play them basically within a couple of days of each other, and they're 13-1 overall, 7-0 in the SEC so far. So Aggie soccer, big games ahead of them.
They need these games. Mr. Dawson, is there anything new at Prize Picks I need to be aware of? By the way, if you don't know, you should sign up at Prize Picks, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs, receive $50 once you play in $5 lineups. We're doing it. Matthew's doing it. I think everybody in the world should be doing it. So there you go. Matthew, tell us something that we need to know about Prize Picks, because I know during the fan show, we've got a couple of more than less stands that we're going to play.
Oh, we do. Well, this week, these 7 days, actually, we're in day number 3 right now. They have NBA promos. With the season starting up, they got 7 days, 7 promos going on, right? So when you sign up for Prize Picks using code TexAgs, you're going to get that free $50 when you play your first $5. Play that first $5 on a promo. It's likely going to be a free square or a discounted square. Those things are more likely to win. So, and you don't even have to win necessarily to get that $50 with that $5 that you play. Deposit using code TexAgs, play those $5 on a promo in these next 7 days, and boom, you're just going to get a free $50. How about that?
Hey, man, good stuff. PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. Gabe Boxing, you're doing a great job. He's listening to the show. Gabe, Great job yesterday. I got to go see the documentary, Breaking Tradition, the Hugh McElroy story.
Hugh McElroy,
really
wonderful man.
First off, the most likable human in College Station.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Also, an amazing story, and shout out to Texas Filmworks for doing a great job, and it was fantastic. So happy to have been there. We'll hit a break here. We will come back. We'll talk to Shea Dixon, LSU insider from On 3, and we'll get some thoughts on everything happening. We'll hit a break. We'll do that next on TexAgs. They didn't hear you.
Yeah. They must have been, I was listening to the song. It must have been written in Baton Rouge. They're laughing at the bar, having fun. Sounds like they were by, with the ATOs.
Right.
And me, I was there 2 weeks ago,
You were having fun.
Laughing and having
I saw
fun at the
video
bar.
evidence of that.
At the Rev.
At the Rev?
Yeah.
It is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. By the way, get your TexAgs merch at The Warehouse at CC Creations. They have a lot of cool stuff, some new outfits out there too, or a new top. What do they call it? The quarter sleeve. What do they call that, Matthew?
Quarter zip.
Quarter zip. Why do they call it quarter sleeve? You're not going to zip your
Because
sleeve.
you only wear quarter sleeves,
so
so your biceps can burst out.
I don't wear sleeves. You're right. You know why? Why hide the babies? You know what I'm saying?
So.
By the way, our next guest, we're going to go on the Boss Firearms Hotline. His name is Shea Dixon. He's an LSU insider from On3, Bengal Tiger On3. You can find them on Twitter, or X, I should say. Billy's like, you got to get this guy on. He's great. So here he is, Shea Dixon, joining us here on the program. Shea, good morning, man. How you doing?
Good morning, guys, and also paying member of TexAgs for a decade plus.
Well, thank you so much. Yes.
Okay, explain that situation to us.
So I was at Scout, then 24/7, then On3. So Shannon Terry, I followed around for decades, and he's always held TexAgs in high regard. But before that, going to LSU, we had friends that came from Texas, and when message boards boomed and sites boomed back in the early Rivals days, obviously Olin was working back then, TexAgs was kind of, and still is, the kind of benchmark. So now half of it is just research for me of how I want to run my site, but I take it all in, and I am not an A&M fan like everyone listening, but I'm Luchador podcasted up. I listen to TexAgs radio. I'm on the board. So,
well, that's awesome.
Good times.
Well, actually, it's smart because you can take all that subscription and you can use it as you can use it as a deduction on your income tax because it's a business expense.
Well, and Nuño gave my wife her first job out of LSU, Emily Dixon.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I know Emily. Heck yeah. In fact, I saw her the last time I was in Baton Rouge. That's right. Emily
That's
Dixon.
what she said.
Yeah. So
we got connections all over the place.
Didn't she write like Little Women or some famous novel?
I remember her as an awesome reporter at 1560 The Game.
Okay.
Hey, so Shea, let's talk about. So I look at Nuss and I'm like, man, he looks really good this year. Like, obviously the numbers are there, but the poise. Does throw some interceptions. Has not been sacked a bunch. I think only twice and once since South Carolina, or zero since South Carolina, I should say. Talk to me about Nuss's growth this year, what you've seen, and maybe where he might be vulnerable.
He's got a really good offensive line. Obviously, he's not a Jaden Daniels. He's not running up and down the field. He's going to stay in the pocket. And in fact, one thing, speaking of vulnerable, is maybe he stays in the pocket a bit too long. They want him to go take those free yards or keep an RPO. But he's a gunslinger coming out of Marcus High. I mean, he loves to throw the football, so he'll sit back there as long as he can to get a ball downfield. But he was one of the guys that you guys on the Luchador podcast this past weekend after the win over State, y'all were going through the names of quarterbacks in the SEC that sort of just haven't lived up to expectation or have had a stretch of bad games. And Nussmeier wasn't one of them you talked about. And people forget Nussmeier is making his 7th start. He's been in college a long time, but he sat that first year, and then Jaden Daniels shows up. So he sits 2 more years. And I guess this day and age, that doesn't happen a ton, but sits it out, waits it all the way to year 4, and now is getting his start. So vulnerable, I would say that he has not become turnover prone to any large degree this year. He's played within the scheme, within the offense, and that's been good because when we got to see him in spurts, it was coming in after Jaden Daniels or whomever before LSU was already winning, and it's like, hey, I get 2 drives here. I'm about to throw this thing 80 yards downfield, and it would get picked off. Now he's playing very calm football. He's gotten a couple of road tests now with South Carolina and Arkansas. Came back, I don't know how, from that 17-point deficit at South Carolina. And then LSU's coming off their best win of the season at Arkansas. And Arkansas is not a Georgia, an Ohio State, an Oregon. They're a quality football team. They went up there at night. They jumped on them early, 10-0, and they put it away. And it was just never close. And 16-10 was about as close as it got. And then they distanced themselves there. So I think that what we've seen is him kind of shed the gunslinger mentality a bit in favor of just playing within this offense. And there's not a nonstop deep vertical game. There isn't all of that. They will kind of dink and dunk you or take what you get. But since that South Carolina game, I think teams have started to take that away. And look, Mike Elko is going to be one of the best DCs you'll face, or one of the best defensive minds you'll face. He knows what Garrett Nussmeier wants to do, and I think that we'll have to see them run the football and then throw it downfield a bit more, because at times it's been a little too easy with what defenses have allowed him to do with that short and intermediate game.
Well, everybody respects the passing and understand the threat of the passing game, because, quite frankly, I look at the receivers and I don't know who the best one is, because I know the leader is Kyron Lacy, but I'm not sure if I'm not more impressed by the tight end, right? So how much of just having a really good receiving core do you think might be responsible for that growth that you've seen in Nussmeier?
Before the season, I talked about Mason Taylor being the guy that I thought would benefit the most from Nussmeier being the quarterback, because remember, he's a junior. 2 years ago, he caught the touchdown catch to send it into overtime against Bama, and then Brian Kelly goes for 2, and he caught that ball, and they beat Bama in year 1. They go to the SEC title game. Since then, but even through them until now, it was kind of quiet, because he's a tight end. He runs a lot of routes that are 5, 7, 8, 10 yards. When those were, even if they were open, Jaden Daniels would just say, I can go get that right now with my legs. I don't even need to risk throwing it over there. And he would go and run. So this was, Nuss doesn't do that. So where's the tight end? Mason Taylor, a junior, looking at his stats, 36 catches. That was last year, sorry. 36 catches a year ago. We've played, 6-1 guys, both teams. He's already got 36 catches again this year for 348, has a touchdown, averages about 10 yards a catch, averages about 50 a game. I think this is a game where obviously they'll have an eye on him, but he'll get targeted 6, 7, 8 times and catch 50, 60, 70 yards, and that'll be a really productive game for him. I mean, he turns that in every week. But as Olin said, they've got a wide receiver 1 in Kyron Lacy, Aaron Anderson, who is from Louisiana but went to Bama, was hurt, came back home, was hurt, finally healthy. He's had an awesome year. He's got 33 catches. I think Lacy has 36. So they have 3 guys, tossing CJ Daniels, who had to miss a game. He has 27 catches. He transferred in from Liberty, that Jamie Chadwell offense from a year ago that was really good, made it to a New Year's Six Bowl. He was the best receiver on that team. All 3 of those guys are at 30, right around 30 to 35 catches on the year. And their output beyond touchdowns, Kyron has the most, is pretty similar yardage-wise. So this is kind of a 4-headed attack in terms of those guys have really dominated all of the kind of targets on offense.
Hey, Shea, last thing for you. I look at this defense, and look, I had my eye on the Arkansas game, but I wasn't watching it the way you would watch it, obviously. And I was like, I think LSU dominated. There's no doubt. You look at the score, you look at what they did. But how much of that defensive performance was because Jaquindon Jackson got hurt and because, obviously, Taylor Green wasn't 100%, at least with his legs? I knew he had a very efficient game throwing the ball, but just overall, is the defense really that improved, or is it kind of a byproduct of who they've played and some of the situations in the game?
Obviously a mix of all of that. And they had slowed Jaquindon down a little bit before he had gotten hurt and left the game. And I thought they had done a good job of corralling a mobile quarterback. And look, I don't know if we're going to see both quarterbacks this weekend, but I almost think it's a little bit better with a Wegman, because they get burned at times with running quarterbacks who can go and take off on them. But they corralled Dart a week prior to that. So LSU's defense, and I'll say it this way, they're good. They were 130th last year. There's like 133 teams. Now they're in the 60s. That's exactly what LSU fans wanted. They didn't say, give us the best defense in the world. It's almost all of the same pieces. But Kelly fired every single coach in January on the defensive side, brings in a whole new staff. We just said, hey, it takes time. Obviously, y'all are experiencing it right now with a first-year head coach and staff to adjust to everything that your coordinators and defense want. So maybe just say, hey, can you get it into the 60s, the 50s? And that's where they're at right now. And these past 2 games are a big reason that they're sitting at 6-1. But I will say to both you guys, I listened to the Luchador and then the radio this week, and my plan was to come on here and say this for the first time, but then y'all repeated it about 40 times. LSU and A&M fan bases agree here. Both of them are looking up and saying 6-1, and one of us is going to be the SEC leader. Like, not us. We're just kind of hanging around here. I don't think anybody expected this chaos of the SEC, one. And then the bifold, the second part of that is to be this LSU team that was having a historically terrible year a year ago and loses 3 first-round draft picks on offense, on then this A&M team that's bringing in a brand new head coach and obviously having to put together a lot of pieces. I've watched every A&M game. I've been impressed. Both these teams have gotten a lot better as the year has gone on. And I think that that's what's going to make this a really interesting game. This isn't Bama, Georgia, we're going to see on Saturday, or the old Bama, Georgias even. But I think this is going to be a really, really good football game. I hope it doesn't go 7 overtimes, but good football game.
We can agree on that, yeah.
Hey, Shea, that was fantastic, man. Let's do it again, all right, buddy?
Anytime, guys. I'm always listening.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you, Shea. Good stuff. Somebody on the YouTube page called him Cajun Lucci. So that was
I can see that.
Cajun Lucci vibe to him. Great stuff.
That's a high compliment, by the way.
Obi, when Shea's in town, we probably won't be able to do it this week. We might be able to.
Come on.
Where would we take him?
1775 if you got here early. Because, first of all, because we're hospitable guys.
Sometimes.
And secondly, I told you about the people in Louisiana being good to me when I had the car trouble. Well, it's time for me to repay. And if I wanted to repay somebody for doing a good deed to me, I could not do a better service for them than to take them to lunch at 1775 and let them taste some of that amazing Texas barbecue, that brisket, those pork ribs, that queso mac and cheese.
What about the rub?
I don't know what kind of rub they put on it, but whatever it is, it works.
It works. It works really good here.
And then when it's over with, I'm rubbing my stomach. That was good. Yeah, and I got a big stomach to rub.
The rub between us is the rub between the stomachs.
That's right.
All right. A lot more of 1775 in your future if you go on a Thursday, which is today, Friday, Saturday. All right, check it out. 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 8203 Raymond Stotson Parkway in College Station, 979-492-6241, 1775 TXBBQ.com.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. At some point, Philip will be on the show. Stephen McGee's with us. QB1, Paragon Financial here on the program. My buddy, Philip Vargas, of course, is who I'm talking about. Yeah. Stephen, let's talk a little bit about this match. Sorry.
Well played, man.
Thank you, sir.
That was really good. Smooth.
I appreciate that.
Nobody knows what we're talking about, and we unfortunately cannot explain, but we'll just accept it for an early morning win for me.
On these talking points that we have here, let's talk a little LSU, all right? They run the ball somewhat okay. I would say in the last couple of games they've run the ball better. They pass the ball very efficient. A&M, I think secondary's played well this year, right? I feel like they've played well. But if there's an issue, it is some of those explosive plays.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's going to be the concern this week. This would be arguably the best quarterback we play this year. If not,
definitely.
You're gonna say yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So
all year?
Maybe the guy at the end of the year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Sorry.
I thought you meant
not to date. Yeah, to date. Yeah. But I'm just saying he's up there. He's one of the better ones in the country. You guys know I love him. I think he's a really good player. He's coach's kid. He's been around the block. He's a veteran player. Look, if you're going to beat these type of players, though, and to your point, I think we're a little bit suspect on the back end, especially people not named Will Lee. I think our safeties are playing much better, though, now, too. The key to slowing down the pass game is beating up front. Let those big guys get around the quarterback and make his life uncomfortable. I don't care how good of a player you are. If you're named Tom Brady and you got people around your legs every pass, you don't like it.
But let me ask you this, and OB, you were probably going to go here anyway, so I should have not spoken up, but they don't give up a lot of sacks. Is it two on the year?
Two.
It's not just sacks. It's
the pressures.
And it's not just pressures. It's that pocket just gets a little bit tight around him.
Okay.
Right? It's just there's more people. If that pocket is clean and there's no one around him and it's like he's playing 7-on-7, we're going to get smoked out of that stadium. I can almost guarantee you right now. They will dice us all day long. I promise you. But if you get pressure on that quarterback, it'll change the dynamic of the game quick.
Well, I know that Elko's good at calling up blitzes. They're going to have to do that, and they're going to have to get, I believe, a push from the inside rush.
Yes.
Because the tackles are so good. And I'm not saying that Scorton and Stewart can't win some of those matchups, but that's going to be a hard matchup to win.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Shamar Turner had a good year. And hey, players, if you're not getting there, get your hands up against this guy because I think he had one tipped against Ole Miss that went for an interception. So maybe he throws a little bit low sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, if you get pressure and that pocket starts to collapse from the inside, that is a nightmare because there's nowhere to go. And if you're trying to escape outside, well, you're running into Nick Squirtin.
And he's not the type of guy that's going to, I mean, he's not a complete statue back there.
Yeah.
But he's not that kid you faced last week as far as.
Which is a pretty good player.
Yes, he's a good player.
He's a true freshman, right? And
yeah.
He's going to be a problem.
Very mobile.
Here's my question. Sorry, quick pivot here. Is he going to be the quarterback in Mississippi State next year, or will he be somewhere else in the world of NIL?
That's a great way of thinking. Well, my hunch would be, and OB, tell me what you think, he'll stay because he went there to be with that coaching staff.
Yeah.
He was initially committed to Oregon. He wanted to go to Oklahoma. He didn't see a path to play. And then, well, now that's a mistake, right?
Yeah.
And then when he ended up going to Mississippi State, he's like, I'm following along.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. The question I would have is, does money pull him elsewhere?
Because, somebody's going to look at that guy and see his mobility. There was a play, and I know we're supposed to be talking about LSU, but there was a play last week where the Aggies were all around him, and he actually made contact. And you might remember, he was stumbling backwards, but he caught himself. He maintained his balance and scrambled around a little bit and then threw for a first down.
Yeah.
And now, if you can do that against Nussmeier, which is what I'm trying to say, Nussmeier is probably, if you make that contact in a similar play, he falls down, you get a sack.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to be the kind of guy that's going to run around and make you crazy running around, even though he could do what Brady Cook did. And if you let him get out and find somebody downfield.
True. Is this the right way to use this term? Last week's quarterback, more of an equinox of equal run and pass threat. This week, we're really focused on the pass threat, less equinox.
Yeah, but But you have to be.
Zane would approve of that?
I think he would.
You have to be stubborn as an ox in the way. And
what did you say equinox meant?
I thought it was like a hybrid cross between you breed a horse, an equine, and a bovine, so you'd have an equinox. But apparently I was wrong.
He could have sold to me. I would have bought it.
I started believing him even though I had already heard the joke. I believed it the second time. Hey, we got to hit a break here in a second, but if we can, and we'll do a little bit more with Swope later, but just how do you assess Connor, not just Mississippi State, this season?
You know, I saw an interesting stat this week from PFF, and I don't know if you guys trust everything that they do or who's actually grading it, but it was an interesting stat nonetheless that when the pockets are clean, he's one of the bottom in the country, but when there's pressure coming at Connor, he's one of the best in the country, right? It's this weird dichotomy. You would expect it to be an opposite stat.
Bring back Adazio then, right?
Right. My coach used to say, bring the heat, gash the heat, right? It's an opportunity for the quarterback, and Connor's definitely excelled in that regard. I think when the pocket's clean, which this offensive line has just continued to impress me. I think we know now after 7 games that you're going to have a really, really good offensive line for the duration of this year, even despite 2 starters potentially out.
Right.
I don't think we expect Basanis to play this week. Or
it says
next.
Out on the most recent injury report.
Yeah, and that's a big hurt, right?
Yeah.
Especially these 2 weeks and knowing you got South Carolina next week with a good D-line. That's a blow. But you have Shanahan back in the lineup and these other guys have played a lot of snaps. And I don't know, for some reason, I just expect this line to play well. All that to say, Connor, if we're going to win this football game, we have to protect the football, right?
Yep.
Great news is, we have the antidote to that offense, right? Keep them off the field. We can run the football, long drives, but we're going to have to throw it. And our receivers have started to step up and make some explosives. And look, I love Connor. I'm going to say this. He's got to play better, right? You got to play consistent. You can't be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You've got to show your team that you're the Missouri quarterback for the duration of this year, especially down the stretch where we got better opponents. And playing a good quarterback, you got to beat them with good quarterback play. It's the key. Unequivocally, if you want to have a good football team, you got to have a great quarterback.
We'll hit a break. We'll do our next segment, which is buy, sell, and lease. Right now, we're talking about Brazos Running Company. You can find them at Century Square in College Station. If you're looking to get yourself some shoes, you got to go to the Brazos Running Company. They have all the top brands on Hoka, you name it. They want to make sure that you are in the right shoe for whatever you're into. If you're a walker, a runner, any kind of fitness, they've got the right shoe for you, and they're going to analyze your gait to make sure if you're running, if you're a toe striker like I am, they'll get you in the right shoe for that. Whatever the situation is, they want to make sure that you are in the right situation. And I said situation 10 times. It is Brazos Running Company, located in Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. Go check it out. And we're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Our QB1, Stephen McGee, is with us. He's Olin Buchanan. I'm David Nuño. The Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Thanks to Paragon Financial for letting Steve come hang out with us. Young, when I say young, not maybe an experience, but some of this can be experienced in the SEC. New starters. I want you to buy, sell, lease the three quarterbacks, not named Connor Wickman, by the way, that I think before the season, one of them we didn't know anything about. The others we had potential high hopes for. I want you to buy, sell, lease. Yep. Nico, Nuss, Pavia.
Oh, that's easy.
I mean, so buy,
sell, lease. You
tell me.
You're buying Nuss. Okay.
Yeah.
Leasing.
See, this is where I feel like you're going to go Pavia and sell Nico. I would say this: if Nico can figure out the non-explosive plays, like he's got unbelievable talent.
This is a good question.
This is a hard one for me because I think the ceiling on Nico is unbelievably high, whereas Pavia, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Pavia.
Yeah. He's limited.
He is,
but he's
a winner.
He's a winner, and that is. I naturally discount that, and I always go toward the guy that has unbelievable ability. If Josh Heupel is picking a starting quarterback today, is he taking Nico, which I haven't watched, I'll be honest, I haven't watched enough of him, or Pavia?
Nico.
I think he's taking Nico. And I probably.
But this weekend, who would you count on to win a game?
God, I like Pavia, man. That guy's got a little he's got a weird, all right, I'll lease Pavia. Sorry. What are you doing?
I'm buying Pavia because I don't.
Over Nussmeier?
Yeah, because we're talking about the quarterback of my team right now.
Yeah, right now.
I'm not saying NFL potential or anything.
Yeah.
Pavia, like you said, is a winner. I've watched this guy take Vanderbilt to beat Alabama, should almost beat Missouri, to beat
Kentucky.
to beat Kentucky bad, to beat Virginia Tech. This guy just makes plays, and to me, a quarterback. It's great if you're a great passer, but the reason you're there as a quarterback is to move the offense, get your teams to win.
Amen.
My lease is Nussmeier, and I've been selling Nico for a while now.
How do you say his last name?
I don't know. I always say I'm gonna leave it on a jet plane.
Email. I can't do it, Nick. Nick's telling me. Email.
Can you imagine being the color guy for Tennessee? You gotta say
it's like DJU. I've said it before correctly, but I have to write it out phonetically. It's just DJU.
I struggle with Polynesian names. I still don't know Coley's last name.
Yeah.
It's like Kobe. It's just Coley. You just leave it at that.
Coley.
Yeah. Exactly. Everyone knows what you're talking about.
All right.
That's a good question. That was a hard one.
Sometimes my questions are horrendous. Today was pretty good.
I like that one. That make you think a little bit.
Opie, thank you, buddy.
Yep.
Tomorrow at the Angry Elephant?
I'll be there.
Yep. All right. More with Stephen McGee. We'll have Ryan Swope here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studios. To Go Hour coming to a close. Thanks to the Warehouse at CC Creations. And we're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Our QB1, Stephen McGee, still with us. And Ryan Swope. What's up, buddy?
What's up? How we doing?
We're good, man.
Awesome.
So what are we laughing about?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. We're just
something OB probably said.
Yeah. No. We had a little dinner last night, so
we had a good time.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Good, man.
Yeah.
So let's start things off with this matchup. And we had an LSU insider on here. Like, who would have thought that this game, LSU A&M, would be this level of game with the season's not over if you lose it, but if you do win it, what the potential outcomes could be. Swope, start us off.
Yeah, I can't say. I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, this is kind of surprising, but I'm not real surprised under Coach Mike Elko that we're sitting here right now, top of the conference, and competing at a very high level. Just because I think Elko's that good. Mm-hmm. He's that good of a coach. He knows, how to get his teams prepared. And I think, he doesn't, it's not all the bells and whistles. He doesn't need all the fancy stuff. He doesn't need all the NIL headlines. He keeps his team focused on the process. And that's what I'm excited about. And that's kind of why I'm not shocked that we're sitting here at the top of the conference. And I know Coach Elko is getting this team ready, and I think we can win this football game.
He did it at Duke.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine winning at Duke like he did? I don't think people appreciate what he did there.
Yeah.
And of course, he lost his quarterback. And if you don't have a decent quarterback, it's hard to win. I don't care what conference you are. But to start the year, you would have told me that we're atop the SEC, 6-1, after we lost to Notre Dame. And my feelings going in that situation, and then, you see LSU drop to week 1 as well, right, to USC.
USC, yeah.
So I think for both teams to flip the script and to rally to get to where we are, I couldn't agree more with Swope's comment. Look, it's not all coaches. The guys got to go up, but the guys bought into the culture. We've talked a lot about that word. It matters. And when you have adversity, every football team across the country will have to handle adversity.
Yep.
They're handling that this week in Austin. You're going to find out a lot about the culture that coach has. But especially down the stretch, right? This is where I think you're going to see the impact of coaches when you have a game where both sides you feel like are really good. Like LSU's got a good football team. A&M has a good football team. Coaching matters.
100%. X's and O's, game planning, going in at half, making adjustments. And we saw that last week in the Georgia-Texas game. I think this is where, Coach Elko is going to take this program to the next level. And we're about to see it on Saturday, just because I think he's that good.
Do you guys sometimes, because I think I do, and I assume a lot of our fans do, struggle with what we expect based on history, right? So sometimes in the back of your mind, like you're still thinking the Jimbo era, right? Just a little bit as you're assessing games, and you're like, wait. This guy, and this is a note from our staff in the back, he's already won 2 more road games than Jimbo did in the last 3 years he was here, right? Like, things are different.
That's wild.
That's a wild stat.
Things are different, but I guess, look, let's be fair. Every Aggie out there is probably waiting on some type of a meltdown, right? What do we call it? Battered Aggie syndrome?
BAS.
BAS. Like, it's there, but I feel like my medication for that right now is as good as it's ever been because of Mike Elko. Like, I believe in this.
He's so good.
Actually, we were talking to one of our buddies yesterday on the phone, and he called me. He's like, "Dadgummit, dude, like, I'm going to the South Carolina game. Like, I'm so bought in, and it scares me to death right now that I'm so bought in right now because
I know.
Like, I'm waiting on that Jimbo Fisher type football team and culture to like implode. But he's like, I'm so excited about Aggie football. Right
you can
now.
just feel it in the air.
It's different.
Yeah, and I think Elko, you can hear it amongst the players when they're coming through here. I listen, these interviews, and one thing these players are always saying is how smart he is with X's and O's and how he knows football. And he is helping these kids improve every single week and get smarter and better and trust the process, and which you're seeing a football team improve every single week. And they're giving all the credit to Coach Mike Elko.
Yep.
I want to go back to battered Aggie syndrome for a second because I think it's so unfair. Because I do it, we all do it, but I think it's so unfair because, it's what you do in the teams are going to lose in the SEC. We're seeing great teams lose. It's how you respond from that loss. If you allow the LSU game to be a loss then on the road at if you were to lose to LSU, I'm saying, to a loss at South Carolina, that's where BAS should step in. But if you lose to LSU, if we beat LSU and you lose to South Carolina, whatever the story may be, it's how you rebound from that. And that's part of the reason I'm excited about Coach Elko, because it is such a process-driven program.
Well, not just that, too. It's a great point, Dave, is that, how about guys getting hurt and you're like, man, this guy's a superstar. How are we going to ever replace him?
I was thinking the same thing.
Like your quarterback goes down, you're like, okay, well, what's going to happen? This guy steps in there and just doesn't blink an eye, right?
Yeah.
Or, you lose an offensive lineman, you're like, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to make it? And you don't blink an eye, right? I think Coach Kubiak used to say this with the Texans. It was, every great football team is going to have to handle, or every football team has to handle 3 huge events that are, things that they have to overcome. Adversity. And man, it's so true. Like that's always been in the back of my mind. And every year you look, no matter the football team, no matter the level, they have to handle these 3 adversities well. And injuries.
Losing to Notre Dame out the gate, you lose your quarterback. And easily, this team could have folded.
Yep.
They could have just. But you have Coach Mike Elko, who's keeping them focused on the process and going all the way back to spring ball. These guys have a vision and a purpose, and Coach Mike Elko is helping them reach that and attain that. You start winning, and it builds momentum and confidence. And then you look up and go, "Holy cow! This guy's putting us in a position to win football games. He's really smart." And then. It's deadly. You can go. You get hot. I love to see it.
Yeah, get hot like you at number 17. Dude gets hot when it matters most, right? We talked about the Giants team back in 2009. They won the Super Bowl. Remember they beat Brady. What did they do? They got hot late, right? And so I think one of the signs of a great coach is your football team is just always getting better. They don't peak early.
Yeah,
right? They're just making marked. And so here's what's scary. This football team can be a lot better.
Oh,
right? Offensively
we haven't
last
even
week,
peaked.
How do you even say, you have turnovers, you have near turnovers, you're having to convert 3rd and long, which is, by the way, one of the most impressive things that came away from that game. And you still put 34 points on the board on the road. Mississippi State's a better football team than the record indicates
100%.
And what they get credit for. But all that aside, you still put 34, you convert all those 3rd downs, and you're coming away from the game, as an Aggie fan, you're like, golly, I'm disappointed. But, dude, you just went on the road and beat a Mississippi school that we have not had success against for the last decade.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I never feel like that game was in doubt.
No.
They went and they took control. That first offensive drive response going all the way down the field was huge, in my opinion. And then from then on, I think they owned that game. Now, they kept them around because of the turnovers, but we were the much better football
Think
team.
about this. That Mississippi State team played Georgia closer than Texas just did.
Yeah.
I know that game was kind of out of reach, and then they started moving the ball in the second half. Same thing that Texas did, by the way, against Georgia.
Yeah.
But Georgia only beat Mississippi State by 10. A&M beat Mississippi State by 10. By the way, Georgia's game was in Athens.
Yeah.
Not in Starkville.
It's interesting. And to all that to say, the point is that we didn't even have our best day.
No, dude, we had
that's a great sign of a good football team is when you don't have your best stuff, you still find a way to win.
And by 10, by double digits.
Yeah.
And it could have been. It should have been 17. There was a couple penalties. All right, whatever. I'll move on from that. How about Jabri Barber?
Oh, man.
You've been asking for it.
Man, he looks special. He looks exciting, fast. I saw separation, which is good. I see chemistry. I see trust within the quarterback and the wideouts. I think that we're gradually getting better every single week. I still think we have a lot of work to do. We're not where we want to be, but a lot of these kids are young, and I see a lot of improvement out there, which is exciting.
Some of that for Jabri, I think, too, is you have to remember this guy didn't work out.
No, he's hurt.
He's been hurt, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into the lineup. It takes a while to get in football shape. People don't understand and appreciate that. Get your legs. I can only imagine how
and confidence,
sore,
right?
Confidence and trust
and you may be
chemistry.
in the meeting room, but until you're out in the field executing those, what they're asking you to do, it's hard. You got to get it back in the flow of how the system works and the feel of it. And so that's been impressive to me. Make that jump in season, and he's been a playmaker, kind of in the inside, a trusted slot type role. And then Noah, man, we needed that, right? The press man.
He's been great.
How much single high zone do we have last week? It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like every snap that we cut up was single high zone. It was unbelievable. Which says to me, like they want these guys, they don't want to give up the big runs. Obviously, they're going to get the safety down in the box because he's unaccounted for in the run game. And then they don't want to play man because they don't want, a back to get loose or a quarterback to run and gash you when all the defenders have turned and run. Right. So they want eyes on the backfield, which opens up the opportunity in the pass game. And we did just enough last week. And I think it wasn't on the receivers, except for maybe you could say the 2 drops to Cyrus over the top, right?
Yep.
It was a good throw early. And then the corner post to Noah. It wasn't a great throw, but I think it was a catchable enough ball.
He could have ran through it.
One more step, right?
2 more paws on. Yeah, put
like
another paw.
One more step, and instead of it being here, he has that late grab with the second hand here, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, look, I'm not
hits his hands. Got to make it. But
ish. It kind of hit his hands, but not.
But
the point is to say, like, it wasn't perfect, but it's good enough.
It's good enough.
And you know what wins? Offensive line play.
Yeah, they're
defensive line play. That's where Elko's figured out, and he's emphasized this from day one, is, hey, if we're going to have success, we've got to win the line of scrimmage. And they keep winning the line of scrimmage, and we keep winning football games.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because something we talked about earlier, bring Swope into it. When you brought up the 2009 Giants who beat the Patriots, right? What did they do? They got after the quarterback.
Yeah, that's what we're good at, man.
Well, so far, Nuss.
Pierre Paul. He had a 8-foot wingspan. Dude, I remember laughing about trying to block that guy. He would get hands on you from like this far away and then just spin around the end. And then you had Tuck. And you got that D line to block it was almost like they were so good. It was embarrassing how good they were.
They were good.
Well, this defensive line isn't necessarily that. They're starting to play like that. This is going to be an interesting matchup because, as we talked about earlier, they do protect Nuss very well. That offensive line has done a great job protecting him.
That's going to be number 2, right? Yep. In sacks given up, but he also gets the ball out of his hands. So sometimes the quarterback can protect the offensive line.
Sure.
And that's one of the things I liked about Connor early is that he played very decisive ball. He doesn't take sacks, but then when he struggles, you look at his feet and he's holding on the ball longer. It's taking longer to get the ball out of his hands. But when he's under pressure, the ball's out quick, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why he plays better. If he gets the ball out of his hands and makes decisive, it makes your offensive line look better too, right?
I mean, what's the most important matchup, do you think? Like, is it the quarterback battle or is it the run game versus
their
run
receivers
game?
on our RDBs?
Well, yeah, that's the important matchup. But I think we're going to lose that. I don't think that we're going to win that matchup. I don't think anybody is really. I mean, they got enough playmakers. Even if you have a really good corner, and I like Will Lee, I don't want that matchup. I'll tell you where I like the matchup is Will Lee on Lacey whenever Nick Scorton is right around the quarterback.
Yeah.
Because now he's a tick late. Now he's a tick off. Now Will Lee doesn't have to be as perfect on the back end. And that's where you can mask some of those deficiencies. You better win at the D-line. You better get pressure on it. It's going to be hard because they're going to play up-tempo and he gets the ball out of his hands. And now your defense is on their heels. They don't allow you to substitute. That's when we lose. But if we can dial up some pressures, if you can be efficient on first and second down, make them be in predictable passing situations, and then you allow Elko to dial up exotic looks that aren't worried about the run game, we'll win. I really believe that.
But what about, with Elko, you don't know where the blitz is coming from, right? So linebackers are going to play a huge role in this.
You don't
safeties.
On second and long and third and long. But if you're in second and 5 or,
third
if you're
short.
consistent, third short, that's where the defenses have to be a little bit more vanilla because they're saying, hey, we got to respect the run here, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be maybe a nickel Sam off the edge or whatever, but man, it's not the, diamond look where you've got your protections that get all jacked up when a guy shifts a foot and then they bring this guy over here. They're double A mug linebackers. Those stuff get tossed out the window if you're in those shorter down and distance.
I need to go back and look at some of the former games, but this past game against Mississippi State, that first drive where they got 7, they were desperate to get 7. They went for it on 4th down twice. They had a long 3rd down conversion. I don't think teams like LSU will play desperate like that. Am I wrong, Swope?
No, I don't think we'll have to be put in a situation. Are you talking about like just desperate for like?
Yeah, because they went for it on 4th twice on that.
Remember
first
they went for 4th down.
Well, I love
backed
those calls.
Up.
I love those calls.
That was for Mississippi State.
You're talking about the punt?
Remember the fake punt? Yeah. That was a terrible call. Sorry.
That was so bad.
That was atrocious. That really helped us.
Thank you guys for that. Appreciate that. No, but on the first drive, the Mississippi State's ball, they went for it on 4th down twice. They were trying to get those. I mean, they wanted to play with the lead.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
I don't think you're going to see that from LSU. Is my point.
No, but Chip Kelly will do some crazy stuff like that.
He will dial it up. I mean, I think he's going to play the numbers game and say, hey, it's 4th and 1. My chance of making it are high. I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
Especially with a quarterback like he's got.
I think what it's going to come down to is who is going to have – whoever has the most explosive plays is going to win this game, bottom line.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, I think if we've got to have 4 or 5 big plays, big throws down the field. And I think at the end of the day, whoever's executing those plays down the field and breaking off big runs, they're going to win the football game.
So,
and then taking care of the football, obviously.
Lucci reminded me of a good point this week was the winner of this game has been the home team for the last, 6?
That's crazy.
7 years, yeah.
12th man, let's go, baby.
I mean, how did we beat them last time at home 2 years ago? Well, we ran the football with A-Chain. He had his best day ever. He got him 30 touches, and Connor was efficient in the pass game.
And our 12th man came.
Moose had a big night. They got a 12th man game. It's going to be
I can't wait,
dark.
dude.
It's going to be murdered out.
Let's go.
Right? I'm murdered out. You're kind of murdered out.
I'll be murdered out. Yeah. Did you call it murder out? Is that
murdered out. Yeah, it's going to be
like a crime scene.
It's going to be Kevin Sumlin coded.
Oh,
as the young kids say, right? Like murdered out. Like that was his
murdered
swag.
Out. Yeah.
Like that era.
Zane just yelled. He's happy about that one. I think Zane.
They're loving it back there. I did it for them. I have learned.
It's Nagley. It's Cade Nagley.
Yeah.
Hey, this is something I found interesting. I think of LSU as this quick attack.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They have a lot of time of possession. In fact, they're ahead of A&M when it comes to time of possession. A&M is 32 minutes and 4 seconds per game. LSU is 32-36. I think of LSU as a team that's going to just keep going just because I think of the Jaden Daniels offense and not really kind of looking at the way they roll.
I know.
Is that?
No, he said Jaden Daniels.
We're not playing Jaden
Oh,
Daniels.
God.
Yeah.
That dude's a problem.
God, he
He's a problem in the NFL.
I know, he's so good.
He's so impressive.
And it's interesting. When he first got to LSU, he was like, he ain't that good. And then he started getting really good.
Yeah.
Even in that
I
first
said
year.
the same thing.
He's in a good system, too. He's with Cliff Kingsbury.
Cliff's dialing it up, man.
Yeah.
That's your dog.
Yeah. Hey, love to see it, man.
He's good. He's a good player. So I think to your point, though, I think LSU does do a good job of, I mean, they're going to, obviously the run game isn't as good as it has been with some of these unbelievable runners. They've had some really good running backs, kind of like A&M. I mean, we're kind of a running back U to some level. They are efficient in the pass game, though. I mean, they'll dink and dunk you, which kind of scares me, quite frankly, because if you give them easy access throws, they're going to death by a million pricks, and then all of a sudden you look up and Eddie Lacy's going on a deep 2 or 7. He's just gashing you. That scares me to death.
That Lacy kid's special, man.
You like him?
I think he's good. Yeah.
I did not
You
think he
he's
was
first rounder?
I do. I do think he's a first rounder.
I didn't think he was going to be that good because I was like, how can this offense continue to have Malik Neighbors every year? Right? That's how I was thinking.
Why do they always have a great receiver?
They always. Them in Alabama,
doesn't matter.
they
What is that?
stack, bro.
Alabama
and
it's
LSU
frustrating.
always has. They always have a
cat.
dude, man.
Who's the?
It's crazy.
Isn't their number 2 receiver? Like, is he number 1? He's pretty good too, right?
Oh, he's good.
Anderson?
Is it Anderson?
I think it's Anderson, yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
Aaron
player.
Anderson, I think.
He plays slot a little bit.
Yeah.
Inside receiver.
He's a pretty good player, if I remember.
And their over-the-top guy, Hilton, hasn't played. And
is he playing against us?
He's still questionable.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see
him trot
that.
out there.
God, I cannot wait for this football game.
I can't wait. I'm juiced up right now. I'm taking the Aggies by 1,000,000. I love to see it. I'm going to be murdered out. I'll be up there with Swopey. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
I want us to play a clean football game, protect the football, run it, and get after the quarterback. Yeah. I think we're going to win if we do those things well.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man.
Let's talk about a friend of all of ours, Jonathan Luskin, Bird Dog. You got to check out birddog.com, birddog.com/TXAGS hunt. That's where you can find out about the Bird Dog hunt that we're going on, the TexAgs wing shoot. It's going to be great. Roger Krager's going to be there. I'll be there. Chris Harrington's going to be there. It's going to be my first hunt ever. But you've got to learn more about Bird Dog. But go to the website if you want to come join us there November 6th through 8th in Brady, Texas. It's going to be a blast. And I've already been practicing. Hopefully many of you guys can come join us on this awesome hunt during the open week, the second open week of the 24 season. But go to birddogit.com so you can learn more about it. They are basically an Airbnb for hunters and for ranchers. And you're going to love it. They take care of everything, the great food, the great ambiance, all the good stuff you want to do when you go for a hunt. They will take care of it. birddogit.com/TXAGS hunt. It's Bird Dog. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline, Aggieland's premier gun and accessory shop. They've got all you need to build your next firearm. Check them out at bossfirearms.com. And with that, we are joined by AT Aaron Torres. You can find him online at Aaron Torres Online, or of course, you can find him on Fox Sports Radio. AT, what up, buddy?
Not much, man. That desk is huge.
Well, thank you.
I know OB usually, is with you and all that stuff. That it's like, I got to get down to Aggieland just so you got somebody to, sit with over there. I feel bad a little bit, to be honest.
I remember a time. I remember this vividly. We like to give each other the rub here on the show from time to time. And I remember not that long ago that the Final Four was in Houston, and you said, David, my friend, it would be my honor to come to do a show at the actual TexAgs studio. I was like, buddy, open door policy. And you go, I'll see you tomorrow. And then you never showed. I remember that.
I think I canceled on at least 2 days' notice. I think it was supposed to be Wednesday, and I canceled on Monday. So, you know how it is. You get to these big events, and you think you're going to have all this free time, and then stuff pops up. And so next time, Final Four's in San Antonio. How far is San Antonio from you guys?
3 hours. Not bad.
3 hours.
Not great.
So this year for sure. Definitely this year.
We'll
I'll
see.
be there.
We'll see about that. Around College Football is brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces. Their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more, millikenreserve.com. All right, AT. The biggest game in college football, A&M LSU. Just a game that is always big, but for different reasons. This year is big because the ramifications, what they could mean. Doesn't mean it's going to mean it, but it certainly feels like it could lean in that direction.
Let me, real quick, I know we don't have a ton of time, but I want to throw it back to you. Have your guests this week, and I know we're obviously on an Aggie-based show, but have your guests this week had definitive takes on how it's going to go down? Because I just feel like these are two teams, we're 7 games into the season, and I still feel like I'm trying to figure out I know A&M a little bit better than LSU, but have people come on your show and said, this is how it's going to go down, I'm very confident in it?
Everybody I've talked to, and mostly my guests, most of them are Aggies, right? But everyone I've talked to thinks it's going to be a tight game. Like, I don't think anybody's picking like A&M to blow them out or LSU to blow them out.
Yeah.
It is going to come down to quarterback play. And I think, I don't care how, I don't want this to bite me in the butt, but it's not necessarily about what Nuss does. I think it's more about what Connor does.
So I actually agree with that 100%. And that's one of the reasons that I'm having trouble figuring out how I think it's going to go down. First of all, LSU, I still don't know what to make of LSU. I've always been a Brian Kelly guy, but you go back 2 weeks to the Ole Miss game. I mean, we talked about it last week. Never led against Ole Miss. Ole Miss had about 90 more yards of total offense, 12 penalties for 100-plus penalty yards. And it's like Ole Miss had so many chances to win that game, and you're like, oh, LSU's not that good. Then they just destroy Arkansas. It's not even competitive. So that's the LSU. I just don't know what to make of them. But then from the A&M side, I mean, listen, it's exactly what you said, and that's my take on this game and why I'm struggling with this game. Do we get Missouri Connor Wigman at home? Obviously, look, phenomenal. I think he was 21 to 25, something like that. Or do we get, the guy that was a little shakier on the road, the guy that has had ups and downs, obviously it hasn't played a ton this year, et cetera. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm having trouble with this is I agree with you. Which Connor Wigman do we get? Because if we get Missouri Connor Wigman, A&M is going to be the only undefeated team in the SEC come Saturday night.
Yeah, that's how I see it. And look, I recognize that Nuss can put up some big numbers, and it's hard to get to him. All those things, I think. But if they're scoring in the 20s, I think A&M wins this game, right? Like if this is a 30 to 26 kind of game, I'm going to favor A&M here. And again, if Connor, and this is any quarterback, because you're talking about you don't really know A&M or LSU, you know A&M. I think you can almost say that about everyone in the SEC, especially this year, because the Georgia team that showed up against Texas is not the same Georgia team we had seen in previous weeks, right? The Texas team that we saw against Georgia, that might be who they really are, but we hadn't seen it against subpar competition. To me, this is where we're going to really find out who everybody is.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, or maybe this is just the way the season is. Because to your point, I thought I knew who Texas. Well, I will say I did pick Georgia last week just because I thought they were a little bit more battle tested. But no, I think you're right. Is that we are getting to that point where we're starting to figure out like who teams are, but even like the Georgia thing, like, oh, they dominate. They're clearly the best team in the SEC. Like, you look at the offensive numbers, they didn't blow you away. Now, part of it was that Texas has a pretty good defense, but it's like you come out of that game thinking that Georgia dominated. It was actually a little bit closer than people realize. And if you go back and they play in a couple weeks in Atlanta, it wouldn't be that crazy to see Texas win. So listen, it's the most cliche talking point in college football right now, but I think it's accurate. I think the portal and NIL too, but the portal more than anything has flattened the playing field. And I think to your point, you look across the SEC this week, Texas at Vandy, Texas about a 3-score favorite. Like, if that was 27-24 with 4 minutes to go, would that surprise you? Because it wouldn't surprise me. Arkansas's favorite at Mississippi State. You guys just saw them. Would it shock you if Mississippi State just won outright? Wouldn't shock me. Might just be the state of college football, and more specifically, the state of the SEC this year.
So what is your take on A&M LSU? You haven't figured out either team, but are you giving the nod to A&M right now, or are you still thinking, hey, they got more to prove to me? Connor's got more to prove to me.
I think it's more Connor has more to prove to me. Listen, one thing I'll say about LSU that's very interesting, they just clearly, and I know nobody likes Brian Kelly, they just get better over the year every single year. I threw out this stat after they beat. Yeah, they do. They're 0-3. They're 0-3 in season openers and are literally like 29-5 in every other game under Brian Kelly.
I'm just trying to. 2 years ago, when they had the SEC locked up,
they won the SEC West. Not sure if you've heard of the.
I do remember them losing their last 2 games. Might have been 3, but they definitely lost their last two games. They lost to A&M and they lost to Georgia, which is no. But I'm just saying, like, they've closed out and then last season they beat A&M. I'm trying to think how else they did, but I see your point.
They lost to Ole Miss. They lost to whoever, Florida State, to open the season. Then they lost to Ole Miss. Then they ripped. That was like the last week of September. That was like the 55-52 final score. And then they played everybody else tough except for Alabama, which won the SEC, and Jaden Daniels got, I don't want to. He got knocked out pretty good in that game. So I think they get better every year, and I think they're certainly getting better this year. The team that I saw in against USC in week 1 is not the same team now. So I do think it's going to come down to Wigman because I do think the one thing I will say, and I don't have like a super strong opinion on this game. I think it's going to be low. I think it's going to be lower scoring. Both teams want to control the ball. Both teams run the ball well, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's a field goal game either way. I really I'm not trying to duck the question. I love having a strong opinion on everything. And this is just one game that I could just see going just about any direction.
Hey, to your point, they won their last 4 games last year. So you're correct on that. In 23, they lost looks like their last 2. They lost to A&M. They lost to Georgia. Then they ended up destroying Purdue. So a little bit mixed bag, but last year, no doubt, they certainly got better. AT, last thing for you. Can you say you feel very confident that Georgia's going to be in Atlanta?
No. Because it's the schedules. And listen, this is one of my big takes that, I haven't been able to fully articulate. And this is going to sound like it's anti-A&M. But I think when we went divisionless in all these conferences, we thought it was going to be this nice, easy bow of the 2 best teams are playing for the championship every year. And it's not going to be that because schedules are so imbalanced. And so to me, I'll be quick here, but listen, I don't want to put the cart before the horse for A&M fans listening. You look at the remaining schedules for both LSU and Texas A&M, it's hard to see the scenario if either team wins this weekend that the winner is not in Atlanta based on what's left on the schedule. Now, I know A&M's path is actually a little bit tougher at South Carolina, which I think is a pretty good team, and obviously Texas at home. But I'm just bringing it up because with the imbalanced schedules, I think it creates chaos. And I think we all think Georgia, Texas, maybe Tennessee is in that top tier. But that, certainly Texas, Tennessee, and Georgia have tougher schedules down the stretch than an A&M does, than an LSU does, than Texas does, obviously, for sure. So,
all right, AT, we got to drop it there. Thanks so much, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Enjoy Coach Turner. We'll talk soon, brother.
All right, man. That's Aaron Torres. Right now, if your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, then you need to check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking about some awesome things. Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo Gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests. and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of those attendees. They offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brands. They have on-site presence, activation, recognition, and social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in the Texas Aggie magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if you're interested in this, you need to email the association, sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. That is sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It's the Association of Former Students. School is in session, brought to you by Duck Camp with Coach Jim Turner. And Duck Camp is for gear made for people who live for the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, and football to watch. Check out the gear at duckcamp.com. Like my shirt says, it's Duck Camp. Coach Turner, we're going to read the triangle.
Yes, we are. We're going to read the triangle a little bit. And just talk a little. I'm going week to week, so I'm going to talk a little bit about pass protection and on the slide side of pass protection. 2 weeks ago, I talked about the man side, so now I'm going to talk about when they slide.
All right, we'll take it away.
All right. Hey, one thing I did want to say to you, okay, just one thing about the rules, okay? So I keep seeing all these teams, and I've heard you talk about it on the radio, and I hear everybody talk about it on TV. It's an epidemic, okay, with all these people faking these injuries for the timeout. Okay, I got a simple remedy for that. And the simple remedy is this. If you get hurt, you're out for the next quarter. You should be out of the football game, right? So as long as I've coached, I've said to my players, I said, you can make it to the sideline. I said, so don't get hurt and cost us whatever. Okay, if we're on a drive, we're on a good drive. If you get hurt, you can make it to the sideline. All right, so go back through the history of people at A&M that have won Congressional Medals of Honor. When you read some of those things, guys traveled a mile with no foot. All right, you can make it to the sideline of a football game. And if you can't, you shouldn't be back in the game because you're hurt.
Right.
So the minimum should be they're out of the game for a quarter and just stop all this stuff. Because these good players, you're going to lose your good player for the next quarter. You know what I'm saying?
I like the way you think.
Just a thought, because it needs to, I agree. It's ridiculous. All right, so let's just talk about reading the triangle real quick, right? So when you read the triangle, I'm going to talk about slide protection right now, right? So on every protection, you got the man side, you got the slide side. This pertains to this game because you're going to see LSU in this football game. They're going to use, when you show a pressure look like Mike's going to do, they're going to slide that line and they're going to put a little back on that defensive end. And if they do that, they're going to lose. You can't do that. I want to show you something real quick, right? So here's read the triangle. That's what this means, okay? So all it means is this. You have the man side, that would be over here. So there's two players over there, right? Your other two linemen are over here, okay, which obviously aren't in the picture, okay? So this is the slide side, right? So these guys will be manned up. This is the slide side. So when you're in the slide, right, the uncovered player, he's covered. The uncovered player is the triangle reader. So his eyeballs go right to that player right there. So when you see them do a good job on pressures and how they pick up pressures, that player right there is not looking at him. If he is, he's a bad football player. He's not going to play well. That player right there is not looking at him. If he is, he's not going to play well. He needs to be looking at him. He needs to be looking at him. And then wherever that player goes, I'm the triangle reader right now. So when I'm that player right there, right, when I'm the right guard in this case, and I'll show you the different scenarios. So there's the right guard, right? So just imagine that the bag is that guy. The center's right on my left. Okay, and so when I'm here right now, I'm like that. I'm going to get my left hand on this player. And I talked about the drag hand before. I'm doing it so you can see it at home right now. So it's just the way you are right now. So you're me right now, okay? You look up, you can see the well over there. So there he is right there, you can see him. You're going to drag hand this player, and then whatever pressure you see, okay, it's you three against those three. And so whatever pressure you see, if he goes there, you're driving the tackle out. If he goes there, you're driving the center back out just like that. And you can see just like that, his eyeballs go there, okay? And then if that guy drops, his eyeballs go right to the next man outside. All right? And that is a triangle reader. You can see right here, right? So sometimes, okay, now you'd have a three technique. These guys are covered right here, right? So this is now the center's a triangle reader. Whoever has the uncovered gap toward the slide. So now it's these four against 1, 2, 3, 4. So now the center's the one reading the triangle. Right, so there you go, right? So now he's the guy that's going to drive the force on all these things. And then in 3 down, there's your 3 down front. So now the center's going to be dragging the nose tackle. So now your center will be here. This player's playing head up. So now the center would drag him, and his eyeballs would come off of him, just like you see in that picture down there. And then he'd be looking at the plug right now. If the plug goes outside the tackle, he's driving the tackle. Okay, if the plug comes this way, he's going to snatch back up on the nose tackle. And that's the triangle reader. As you can see in 3 down, you got 2 of them. The tackle's a triangle reader. A lot of time that player's standing on the ball, so it all just works out. But a triangle reader is always to a player that's off the ball at the second level. Let's take a quick look right here, right? So this is your first look at it right here, right? So this is 2 jet. This is a 6-man protection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right? And the center ended up calling that player out right there, which puts him on that to outside. Okay, so right now, okay, so anytime you're coaching during a football game, right, and you're in my shoes, and you're the coach, right? So a lot of times, it depends on how much help you have. Now, today, they got more coaches than they have people in the stands, right? So they have a lot of help. Okay, but when I was here with Sherman and Sumlin and these guys and Jimbo, I didn't have as much help, so you got to do a lot yourself. And today, they have the video. I didn't have the video back then. Okay, so now, having said that, when you got the slide side right here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Against 1, 2, 3, 4. So a lot of times he dropped, so it ends up being 4-on-3. So if the 4-on-3 ever lost, right, they were in deep trouble. So they shouldn't lose, right? If you're 4-on-3, you should never lose. All right, and that's where you set up the triangle reader. He's 1-on-1. So now, if I'm a game time, I want to watch him, and I want to be able to evaluate if you can lose in a 1-on-1 block. I understand that. Okay, I'm not going to say that to him, but I understand. At the same time, I don't expect these 4 to ever lose unless they pressure. If it becomes 4-on-4, okay, now they're all in 1-on-1 blocks, and whatever happens, there's a little more leniency. Not that there's a lot. There's not a lot. Okay, so now watch right there, those 4. So he's the triangle reader right there. He can see the linebacker. So if I'm 60 right now, I'll show you what 60 is doing right here. And I'll show you what the left tackle is doing right now. I'll show you what the right guard's doing right now. So I'll show you so you can see it this way. Let me get my code here. All right, so when they do this right here, right, if I'm that player right now, okay, if I'm that player, I'm looking at the guy I'm blocking. I'm not looking at the linebacker. And that's what a lot of people teach them. Hey, all 4, you got to look at the linebacker. Well, if you're playing LSU on Saturday night here, okay, at Kyle Field, and you're looking up at the linebacker against our defensive front, you're going to get your kicked. You understand? So we obviously, right, said that's not the way you teach it. He's blocking that player. And then if the uncovered player next to me, the triangle reader, if that player goes, he's driving me. Bop, 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 bop. He's driving me, and I'm getting off. And the first way that the triangle reader drives it is verbally. And then watch. This is a thing of beauty right here. So he's right there.
All right, we'll have a lot more of that on TexAgs.com. You got to go be a premium subscriber to get the full content. He goes into deep stuff with LSU and A&M a little bit later. So you want to make sure you go to TexAgs.com, become a premium subscriber to get all of Jim Turner's thoughts. All right, when we come back, Gerrod Chadwell will join us here in studio. We'll chit-chat about Aggie women's golf. Before that, let's talk about Heritage Films. That's Chance McClain's company. I always say his name because I think when you deal with a business, you want to deal with the owner. You want to deal with people that are in charge, people who can make things happen, people you can just call up on the phone and say, hey, Chance, what are your thoughts on whatever? Like not only is he going to be great for the storytelling aspect of a heritage film, which, by the way, you should know by now, it's a documentary film about your family business, or your family ranch. You can call Chance, talk to him about Star Wars. You can talk to him about politics. You can talk to him about Aggie football. You can talk to him about being a good old boy. You can talk to him about Broadway musicals. Chance just likes to chit-chat. He's awesome, and he'll take your phone call right now. You guys can just chat about A&M stuff. He loves talking about Aggie football and loves telling people stories. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. Your Heritage Film, 713-893-8341. We're back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Gerrod Chadwell in studio, talk a little Aggie women's golf. How are you, buddy?
Here.
I was going to say, are you? Because I typically see you, if not, around here. I haven't seen you. You guys have been going.
We slummed it in the Bahamas last week. So,
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it was somebody has to do it. So
hey,
we
you didn't get the memo to tell Billy that you needed a media representative?
He didn't call me back.
Oh, okay.
I tried. I tried. He'd probably say that about me too.
How was the fall?
Good. We still got one more left. We go to Fort Worth on Sunday. Play there Monday, Tuesday, 36-18 hole event. We've gotten a lot of people reps this fall, which is kind of what this fall is designed to do. Is get a lot of people experience, and then you start to fine tune your lineup in the spring. So we played the Bahamas without Adela. She's at the second stage of Q school right now. So. Got to see some faces in the lineup that haven't had a lot of reps, which was good.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Now, the unfortunate thing about Bahamas, we got shortened one round. We lost the Friday round, and right at that lineup, we needed all three to really make some headway. But it's the fall, and I don't say that lightly because every event counts. But this bunch will be just fine.
Do you look at the fall as we want to win everything we can, but this is a ramp up. We got to be at our best. Come springtime.
Yeah, I do. I think I've tried to. I don't like losing or playing bad or anything like that. I think I've tried to have perspective going into this year. We lost 3 key pieces to our last 3 years. That's a ton of experience. That not just golf. That's travel. That's day in day out. You just take them for granted because they are better at being present. They're better at being just focusing on the things at hand. Where now you got a lot of new faces and everything is new to them. So that's the thing that we're trying to focus on right now is just one day at a time with this bunch. And next thing you know, you'll look up, you're getting into March, April, May, and it'll be a totally different team that you inherited in August.
So Adela at Q School, how are things going there?
Adela had a big one yesterday, 66, that vaulted her into the lead when she got off the golf course. But I think she finished today like T6 or T7. So she needs to finish, I think, top 35 after Friday. Tomorrow's round, and she would secure her full Epson Tour status, which is the tour below the LPGA Tour, which is kind of the best thing she could do.
That's awesome.
It's really good. She was super nervous for the first round. This is the first time she's ever went through this experience. Man, she's so talented. So glad she got that out of the way. She shot 72 the first day, and then shot 66 yesterday with a 3-putt on the first hole, and then hit a ball in the water like one of the first half was that. So to have the composure in that stage to do that was a big round yesterday.
I know you all have high expectations for Kata. How has she grown?
That's the thing. I was talking to staff this morning. She has grown. It might not be showing up quite on a scorecard right now, but her daily routine, how she attacks practices, how she's just being better around the team is what I see. We had a very, very, very long talk after Saturday's round at Bahamas, and she's frustrated with her results, and she's worried about things she can't control. And so just trying to reel her in on that and telling her how much she has grown, that all that stuff's going to take care of itself if she just starts really enjoying the competing instead of the comparing.
For people who are uber successful, isn't that hard?
Very hard.
You can't control that, but you think you can.
Absolutely. It's with her, she just blitzed through junior golf in Spain. And then you come to America, and if somebody could just hand you a set of earplugs and a set of blinders, and you just keep doing what you're doing, she'd probably be in a different spot. But now everybody is doing something different. All of her friends now carry a different bag. So it's just you're consumed with other stuff that really has no bearing on what's going to happen with your outcome, unless you let it. And that's why it's kind of looked a little murky for her right now. But, man, she's in better shape. I'm excited for her. So it's just really just trying to... We call her Spicy C for a reason. She gets pretty sped up, but Kata's going to be a big part of what we do this year.
How about Lauren Wynn?
It might be a surprise to a lot of people, but Lauren has worked her tail off. I think she, when she was coming into the program looked a little different. And then we got here and brought a lot of transfers in, and then playing time became really hard for Lauren. But she has chipped away at it, and we're very thankful for Lauren in that because she's been a big part of what we've done this semester so far.
We've got about 45 seconds left here. Just what needs to happen? You've got Fort Worth, break time. Yeah. What needs to happen in that time before spring?
We got today, and we really, really need to focus on today.
I love that.
for a lot of reasons. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, but I'm excited for today. We're not going to drive up till Sunday. We're going to let the girls go to the game on Saturday and have practice on Saturday. And I'm excited to be in that excitement in College Station for Saturday to have a practice in town and all the buzz going on. But I'm excited for today. And that's, I'm not going to change that for the rest of the year. I'm excited for today.
You've given me a lot of good stuff on this show. That's probably one of your best answers because
thank you.
it speaks to like, I think all of us, like, let's enjoy the moment, enjoy the process.
We had a good workout this morning, and I'm excited for practice this afternoon.
Thank you, Gerrod. I appreciate you.
Gig 'em.
Thank you. Gig 'em. All right, we'll come back. Fan show next on TexAgs Live. And we are back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for the Fan Show. Fan Show brought to you by Prize Picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs when you play $5 lineups. It's the way to enjoy daily fantasy sports. Basically, you're picking the stat projections of 2 to 6 players. It's awesome. I've been doing it for a long time. You'll hear a little bit more about it in a moment. Matt Browning, hello, sir.
Good morning.
Good to see you, buddy.
I am doing great. I suddenly feel a little underdressed, but
well, you're about to find out why.
You and Roy, we all do a little bit.
Well, I'm going to get to Chad here in a second. Roy, hello, sir.
Hey, man, I'm the man in black today. Let's go.
Let's go. Chad, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Chad's making his debut here on the program. We're going to drink a little Maroon Kool-Aid.
A lot of Maroon.
And by the way, you're friends with a lot of people I know. Apparently, the whole lobby was like your boys over there.
It's a pretty good time to be an Aggie, and it's pretty neat to know some of those guys. You know, you got to watch out for Swope and McGee at times. They can get you.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
You met Philip, I hear.
I met Philip. He's a great guy.
Great guy. One of the best. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew Dawson, are you familiar with Philip?
I'm not familiar.
Okay, we'll introduce you to him later. Let's get into it today.
Well, I mean, first question. I mean, given everything that's going on, how are we feeling?
What's on your mind, Chad? You go first.
Well, what's on my mind is the game last night. A&M volleyball. I not to get ahead of the game or anything, but my goodness, going into a place. I mean, you mentioned earlier, Dawson. I mean, 79 games, conference, straight wins, and we go in and take care of business. That's exciting. But also, what's on my mind is being on the best show in the nation, TexAgs Live.
Yeah. Did you say no?
No, I said that's good.
Because I think we're in the top 4. I don't know if we're number 1. I mean, I know Matt watches The View like OB all the time.
Yeah.
Well, unlike Texas, though, we're not overrated.
Oof.
Well said, sir. But I do want to go back to volleyball for a second. If you've ever talked to Jamie Morrison in person, which not everybody gets the chance to talk, he's very approachable, by the way. Or if you've heard him on an interview, you know that guy's a winner. He just comes across as a winner. And I feel like you could say that about all the coaches at A&M right now.
Yeah.
We're putting our money where our mouth is. We're trying to win. That's all you can ask for. So
we talked about this golden era thing a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I will say about Jamie, I've not had the pleasure of meeting him face to face just yet. But when he comes to the studio, whether you're listening to the radio or you're watching on TV or watching on YouTube, his energy is palpable.
Yep.
And it was. I got home last night, Wednesday night's bowling league, so I get home kind of late. But I got home in time to watch the entirety of the 5th set.
Yeah.
And what really struck me more than anything, obviously, the low-hanging fruit is the fact that you beat Texas on the road for the first time since 2001, right? But what struck me was, as I watched the set unfold, there were multiple kind of unforced errors, which were wildly frustrating to watch. Mm-hmm. And yet they stay in it and they keep fighting. You're talking about the number 7 team in the country at their place, sold out with a bunch of weirdo swimmers, only wearing Speedos and no shoes. And but you stay in the fight and you hand them their first conference loss like that. I'm not saying that that's the most pivotal win, in the history of Aggie volleyball, but man, that has got to be up there. Jamie is building something. And someday I got to come up here when he's interviewing just to be a leech and shake his hand.
Well, hopefully we're saying that exact same thing about a win in football on Saturday. Browning, what's on your mind?
That's what it's on my mind.
Oh.
The football. So big weekend. This is shaping up to possibly be one of the biggest games we've had here in, 20 years. I mean, this could be massive. With what's on the line and where we are, where they are, everything else, it's just setting up to be going to be a really, really fun weekend. I love the idea of the blackout. When I was in college, blackout meant something else, but of course, I only went to college for 30 minutes, so that's fine. But
you passed that on Northgate.
Yeah. There might be plenty of those blackouts too.
Hey, pulled a Kenny Hill down on Northgate. So huge game this weekend. I mean, everyone, watching all the national pundits, everybody's breaking down the game, all that sort of thing. And to be honest, I've been listening to you this week, and I completely agree with you, 100%. I think if you look at this team, I think you look at it and go, okay, this team, our defense is good enough to win the SEC. Mm-hmm. Our kicking game and our special teams is good enough to win the SEC. Our offensive line thus far has played good enough, and especially in the run game, and our backs have been so good that we can run the ball well enough to win the SEC. Like you said, I think it all boils down to quarterback, and I think that's kind of where that's why we're all still a hair hesitant to just go, and that's why I think a lot of people keep picking LSU over us, is because I think that's what they're seeing. Is they see so far we've seen Connor versus Notre Dame. We've seen Connor versus Missouri, yeah. And you see he was kind of a little bit of both. In that Mississippi State game.
But can I pause that? Because if you heard that thought, you probably heard me say this too. I feel like that's a lot of quarterbacks in the SEC right now.
A lot of them,
Carson Beck, you can say the same thing about. Quinn Ewers, at least against Georgia, you can say the same thing. I don't know who else they've played. But you can go down. Jackson Dart's had his issues.
Anybody else? They haven't played anybody else. They played one team with a pulse, and they got housed by them, which was beautiful, by the way. So that was fun.
And that's not me minimizing, because I still believe that 100%. But I do think if you look around the league, quarterback play has been up and down.
And see, to me, that's why I think if you look at it from a national perspective, most are kind of going, I think I'm going to lean LSU just because Nussmeier's he's been probably the most consistent quarterback in the entire league so far this season. So, but again, I think if we get the Missouri version of Connor, where he's accurate and making good decisions and quick decisions, man, this is. I feel better about this one than I did last week. Roy?
What is on your mind, Roy?
Sounds like Matt got shamed into finally watching the show.
Yeah, I know, because I think I called him out a little bit last week. Like you
called him out a lot bit last week.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. I love you, brother.
Look, if you get Missouri Connor, nobody's going to beat it. Nobody in the country is going to beat us. Quite frankly, Missouri Connor was just top tier elite quarterback. All right, like as advertised, as hoped. What's on my mind? You interviewed Brian Corton, another one of the fantastic coaches I haven't had a chance to meet face to face. I got to shake Coach Chadwell's hand, but we were, in out kind of thing. He said something in an interview you had with him this week. He said A&M is a lot, and for some reason that stuck out to me when as soon as it came out, I don't even know what he said the next couple of sentences, because that statement is so true in so many ways, and I think we embraced that though. And I got to thinking, and you have that, and then what we do in Austin last night, and what's coming up on Saturday, and there's going to be a fun exhibition with Cougar High and basketball and baseball. So many things are happening right now, especially with all the exhibitions and everything going on with the spring sports. And I got to thinking about it. That kind of ties into how we talked about maybe this is the golden age. Like maybe A&M is a lot, and we're going to be a lot for everybody. Like it's a lot to be an Aggie, and I get that it's a lot to come to A&M with no ties to A&M and not only become a college student and get into that grind, and then also be a college athlete. I know that's what he was kind of really talking about, referencing more so than anything. But being an Aggie is a lot, and I think we really need to embrace and love that. And the whole blackout thing and the pushback has been fascinating to me. Like being an Aggie is a lot, and I get that. I believe Maroon as much as anybody that you're ever going to meet, right?
Right.
But man, if the coach and the players want the blackout, let's go, right? If the coach and the players, it just, to me, we're building steam right now, all right? And man, Saturday could just be such an explosive point for this program. And again, we've said it a million times, college football is the front door to the university.
Yeah.
And you do this on a Saturday night, blackout, kind of cool, right? Little alternative, which is a little different for A&M. And you do it on a national stage with the national, Herbie's going to be there, Fowler's going to be there, Rowe is going to be there on the sideline. Like this is, come on, man. Like if you don't see what's going on between this and all the other sports and just this full blown locomotive, like flying, like when Big Boy came, a couple weeks ago and parked on the tracks, that's A&M, man. It could be the biggest locomotive in the nation. Like, we just got to fire up the steam, and Saturday's a great time to start that.
This feels like the moment. And going back to last night, you see Coach after the match going to the fans, hugging the fans. You see, and this is what I believe, on the 27th, Texas came into A&M in the Reed Arena and beat our ladies. But you look at the score, it was close. That's good coaching. Good coaching means good culture. Good culture means belief in self and belief in team. when you're watching, it's results. When you watch that fifth set and you see, unforced error, match point for Texas in their house, going crazy, swimmers on the sideline, and then we win that game. I think Elko does the same thing. When you look at the Notre Dame game, you don't get a chance to play Notre Dame again, but you get a big night game again, and he's going to look back at that film and he's going to say, hey, guys, we had our moment. Now, good culture, right? Effort, strain, belief in self, belief in system. I think we get a good result on Saturday.
And that's the thing I think you see across the board with our coaches. Like literally, and that's maybe where we as Aggies, maybe there's some maroon tinted glasses a little bit, but it seems like and this is what we always like to say, right? The coaches get A&M, right? They get A&M.
Yeah.
These coaches get the characteristics that Aggies love. Yeah. All right. I don't think that Mike Elko necessarily knows the words to the spirit of Aggie Land, right? But it's that grit and culture and teamwork, and we're seeing it at every sport, and I think that's why there's so much excitement from this fan base.
I have not understood this pushback, though. I mean, I get it. I know I don't get it. I mean, the whole point of being a fan is to back the team.
Exactly.
Right? And if the team's going, hey, guys, we want to do something different. We want to do something cool. This is exactly why you're a fan. Why do we stand the entire game? We're the 12th man. We're that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're backing the team. You stand the entire game to back the team.
Yeah,
the team goes, hey, let's wear black to the game. Wear black to the dadgum game. Quit arguing about it, old timers.
Hey, this segment's not coming to a close, but as a reminder, the final segment of the show is brought to you by Double Days. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150 will hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. Serving Aggieland since 1984, they have your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way.
I have one more thing I need to say that's on my mind.
You can say it.
Thank you, Garrett Nussmeier. Thank you.
Nuss?
Thank you, Nuss. Thank you for pulling what was it?
Brady
Josh Rosen.
Oh, yeah. Josh Rosen.
Thank you for pulling Brady Cook.
Yeah.
He didn't really, but he kind of did.
He did. And I mean, that place was going to be wild no matter what.
It's going to be bonkers.
But he just ramped it up. I don't know if you could have ramped it up anymore. He just did.
Yeah, look.
He's going.
Well, I want us to take it that way. But don't you have to kind of talk about your place? And it was months ago, by the way.
I do. I agree. You do have to talk about your place. But hey, when you talk about your place,
that means you're talking bad about our place.
Hey, you're now. Hey. All right, challenge accepted.
Yeah,
we'll show you. All right. Hey, I know Tiger. Listen. I get Death Valley's loud. I've heard it, and if
it's
you
angry loud.
If you told me before he even said anything, what I think is probably the hardest environment to play, I'd say LSU. I would say even above Kyle Field normally, right? But say it. He said it, and boy, I hope we played on the big screen like we did Brady Cook. I hope.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, Death Valley is the only place I've ever seen a 12-year-old drunk. I'm just saying, like that's a fact. All right, let's go with you, Chad.
Okay.
How much do you read into what happened at Starkville? Do you read into it? I got Roy laughing. I don't do that often. Starkville. How much of that translates to what we are going to see this season, or is that an isolated game with an isolated story that we have seen play out so many different ways in years past?
Good question. First, let me address the bow tie. I didn't get pranked. No one told me to dress up. I'm a professor at A&M, right? There's a little doctor behind the name, but also I've been told I have a face for radio. And so I'm hoping the bow tie distracts because I didn't realize the cameras. What are we doing?
Well played.
Going to Mississippi State, used the word grit. Max Wright used the word grit in his write-up. Grit. Angela Duckworth wrote a book named Grit, and it's about passion and perseverance for long-term goals. This team feels like they're destined for a long-term goal of playoff championship. It's not, let's play this Saturday and hope it works out. Sure, we had some turnovers. Sure, it's on the road, SEC. Isolated event. We can improve. What made me excited was at halftime, Elko going in a half, right, that interview. What do we need to improve on defense? Everything. Second half defense, what did they give up?
I think it was like 92 yards.
92 yards? Come on. So, to me, I'm looking at that team going, this is great. And body language. Did you notice every time, it was a turnover, bad play, our players on the sideline, there was no... Going back to Missouri just really quickly, I knew we won that game, not when Moss ran all that in the second half. It was when, after their called back touchdown, they went to the sideline and their players went to the bench, heads down. I was like, we won this game.
Pouting, yeah.
Our team, I have not seen this. Albert Regis makes a bad play, right? Players, hey, Connor, we got you. They talk about it. That's culture.
Yeah.
So to me, we won on the road. Next game, let's go.
Well, by the way, we call this the fan show. It might just be one fan after Chad's appearance. It may just be Chad coming on the show every time.
No.
You're killing it, man.
No, I appreciate
it. The fan show with one fan.
Oh, hey, thanks, guys.
Hey, Matt. No, Matt.
Right. We'll see you later.
No.
In fact, we don't need a host. We'll see you later.
No.
All right. Everybody else kind of chime in on that.
Yeah, no, I think that coming off a bye week, I think I obviously would have loved to seen a little bit more of a win. Obviously, I hate when they scored that first touchdown. I was about to text Roy and go, "BAS is real, man." But
I would have blocked you.
Yeah, he would have. So
you haven't already done it?
He thought about it. I promise you. But so no, the thing is that the one thing I do like is that you come out of something like that going, okay, it got our attention. All right, hey, we still have things to work on, and it gets the coaches back in the laboratory, figuring out, hey, what do we need to do here? What do we need to do? What do we need to focus on this week? And they can pinpoint things, they can focus on things and everything. But yeah, any road win in the SEC, especially with the drought we had been on, any road win in the SEC is a good one. I'm happy with it, and let's make some improvement and go on.
You'll kind of play off of both of those. One, if you watch the polls, it's not just the speech in the locker room. It's the body language of the players and the body language of the coaches. When Elko speaks, all eyes are on him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't stomp his foot and yell and be like, hey, here. Once he gets everybody's attention, all eyes are locked in. They're paying attention. They're hanging on every word. And the coaches are doing it as well. And again, that goes back to the culture. Now, when it happened, my first thought was, oh, man, we didn't win by enough. And then you have to stop and say, good Lord, fan is short for fanatic, right? Because after the Notre Dame, game, where are we? Where we are in our fields, and then Florida and Arkansas, oh my gosh, Missouri. And so now no matter how, what you think, you have raised your expectations for this team on a week-by-week basis. And so when we see that we don't cover the spread in Stark Vegas, there's a little concern. And then you have to step back and realize you went on the road in the SEC and won a football game by double digits, and your quarterback didn't play very well.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a ton of positives to take from that.
Yeah. And Mississippi State is better than their record. I mean, especially as of now, they're going to catch somebody sleeping this year.
I'm just glad it wasn't us.
Van Buren's been killing it in October. I mean, he's like the leading quarterback in the SEC.
He's
Georgia, Texas, Texas A&M. We got out of there.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more from the fan show. We got a question that I'm going to let you guys chew on a little bit. And the answer is probably obvious, but let's get into it. Cade put on the rundown a question for everybody. Who's the best one-loss team in the SEC? All right? And we can give a 1A, a 1B, and a 1C. I think the answer is obvious. Maybe it's us, maybe somebody else. We'll talk about that on the other side. Right now, we're talking about Ground Shuttle, Brazos Valley premier transportation provider, well known for their frequent, reliable rides to George Bush Intercontinental Airport. So next week, when we head out to South Carolina, I think we got to go to Ground Shuttle, because who wants to go park at Bush? It sucks, okay? You got to park in Afghanistan, you got to walk, you got to get on a shuttle there, and it's a long ride, and they stop at other. No. Let Ground Shuttle do the driving for you. It's a fraction of the cost. You get there not even think about the traffic and park up close. They're going to drop you off up front. It is the way to go. It is Ground Shuttle. Let them do the driving. 855-303-4415. 855-303-4415, or go to groundshuttle.com. That is groundshuttle.com.
That's what I do to teach.
And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the fan show presented by Prize Picks. I got a question for you.
Bring it.
Who's your insurance provider?
Oh,
The difference is real.
Rollo Insurance.
Oh,
my boy Morgan Mowdy over at Rollo Insurance.
Morgan's great, isn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they take great care of me.
So there's some talking points they have sent me recently, and I think it fits. Maybe it fits for you. You're really good at what you do.
Maybe
Yeah, maybe not on the fan show, but in life, right? Rollo Insurance is really good at what they do. And find out, because actually my family does know. We've been using them since we've been here in College Station, and it's been fantastic. But you don't have to be in College Station to take advantage of Rollo Insurance. They're all over Texas. Check out rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's where you can see a special message shot in this studio from Jackson, from Keith, and myself. We're on there, so go check it out and learn all about the great insurance products that they have for you. Gamesmanship with awesome insurance. You want to make sure that they take care of you. It's Rollo Insurance, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. I teased the question. Let's talk about the question.
Browning just out here catching strays on a Thursday.
I know, man.
I said he's really good at life.
Yeah.
I did say that.
Yeah, I am. I'm
You're a happy human.
I might be the happiest person y'all know. So, yeah.
Nick Savage.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. And Zane.
Zane, the little angry elephant?
Yeah.
Sorry.
My little fella.
So the question I asked was, who is the best one-loss team in the SEC? And there's some, or actually in college football. Let's just go in college football in general. Because there's a 1A, 1B, 1C. I think there's several answers to this. Maybe A&M is on your list. We're about to find out. Maybe LSU is on your list. Maybe it's Texas. Maybe it's Ohio State. Maybe it's Georgia. So, Roy, you start us off.
Yeah, it's a tough one once you start going across the nation because, and this is where I'm at, just kind of personally, is we're down to a Power 4, right? And then we have the group of 5 million, whatever. It's really a Power 2. All right, can we be serious with ourselves? All right, it's us, it's the SEC, and it's the Big Ten. So that's really where you're plucking your best one-loss teams from.
Yep.
That's kind of my thought. It absolutely makes me sick to my stomach to say that Ohio State might be, because, again, that entire state could just drop in the plane and I'd be fine with it. I think, and with my eyes, because what I saw in Austin and what I saw when Ohio State went to Eugene, right? I feel like it's either Georgia or Oregon. Those are kind of 1A, 1B. And then you kind of look at, what is it, Illinois, right? Look, and I love the run Illinois has been on. I do. Like, huge fan of the Illinois run. My wife's from Chicago, big, fighting the Illini. Right. Then breaking out the old school helmets too, right? I love it. But is Illinois for real kind of thing, right? And so then you just have to look back at the SEC. All right, well, who is it? Is it Alabama? Oh, no, it can't be Alabama. That's a shame. So is it us or is it LSU? If you want 1C, then let's talk Saturday late night.
Yep.
And I'll tell you who 1C is, or maybe, depending on the outcome of the game, 1B or 1A. Yeah. I think there's a tight clump there.
Yeah.
When you talk about one-loss teams.
Chad?
Matt, this isn't the time to look up your high school highlights. So I would say, when you say nation, and it's tough to say Ohio State, but I'm not going to say it. I think Georgia's 1A.
Yeah.
You look at their schedule, and this whole, they barely, stop. They went in Texas with their quarterback throwing 3 interceptions and still won by double digits, 2 scores.
Yeah, should have been more.
More, right. 1B, I'm going to say Ohio State. You're talking about one loss. 1C, Roy, you said it. Talk to me Sunday morning. Right, talk to me Saturday night at Kyle Field, and I'll yell over to the across George Bush. It's A&M. So I'm going to say us 1C.
Us 1C? I like that.
We're us 1C.
I like it. I do like that. I mean, there is one ACC team that we can include in that. Who is...
You did lose to one of the teams you referred to. Right?
Correct. So, I mean, if you look at...
Florida State?
Oh, that was good. No, so Clemson's got probably the best loss on the resume, right?
Yeah, but they got bamboozled.
In the very first game of the year, which we did as well. We keep talking about we've gotten better. Now, again, their schedule up till now has not been great. But I'd put, if we're talking like the top 3 teams from what I've seen, I mean, I think you got to go Georgia simply because they have the best win. I mean, but here's the deal. On a neutral field, I have no idea who's winning a game, one game over another.
Yep.
Right. I can tell you who I think wouldn't, but of the one-loss teams, I think Texas is a fraud. I think their schedule is absolutely fraudulent.
Does it
leading up to
matter
it.
that they're a fraud, though? I'm sorry to cut you off, but does it matter that they're a fraud with that schedule?
Yeah, it does. Well, if we're asking who the best team is, my mind goes, okay, who would win on a neutral field and who would, or hey, even at home. Obviously, they're not as good as Georgia, so we know they're not the best one-loss team. But I mean, yeah, when I say they're fraudulent, I mean basically you've got the weakest schedule leading up to this. Everyone touting them as the next great thing. They're running the SEC, all this sort of thing. And I mean, they did beat 2 blue bloods in there, but 2 blue bloods that are awful. I mean, Michigan and Oklahoma are terrible football teams, and so that's why I say. I mean, again, they beat everyone the way they were supposed to beat them up until last week. But obviously, Georgia's better than them. I think if you go back and if you're looking at teams who have improved, I think LSU is in that conversation. We are in the conversation. That's the best part. We're in the conversation. Are we the best team? I don't know.
This weekend, the winner of A&M LSU is absolutely in the 1A, 1B, 1C conversation.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
For one-loss teams. But here's the problem with Clemson, man. Yeah, they are hammering opponents. They're hammering bad opponents. You know who Clemson doesn't have to play this year? Miami.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And so the first game, and then they beat App State, and they kind of struggled against a bad Virginia team. If you look at their schedule and this was lacrosse, it would be more impressive, the victories, all right? The ACC is just a hot, steaming garbage trash pile.
Hey, I'm about to really make Roy mad here because no one's mentioned Notre Dame. He hates Notre Dame. But here's the thing.
But they have more of an argument than...
Notre Dame won here against what's proven to be a pretty good A&M football team. They did have their stinker with Northern Illinois
the week after,
but since then they have been fairly dominant every game they played as well
against all those massive opponents. And they got another one this weekend, number 24 Navy. Well, that's the thing about the Notre Dame schedule, though, is it can't ever be trusted in a year. They play a couple of games. They got Georgia Tech, but Haynes was out. Georgia Tech, and so it's
Again, we're just saying who's the best one.
And you brought up Clemson, and you should be fired from whatever it is.
I was the last to go. I had to add something new to the conversation.
He's got a good point.
Y'all jumped in and took all the best stuff.
We are the best
Notre Dame and Clemson.
What's Ohio State's signature win? If you're so convinced that Clemson's schedule is easier than Ohio State.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because they play in the Big Ten and Clemson plays in the ACC. That's my argument.
So Michigan State, Iowa, Akron, are those signature wins?
Who does Clemson beat? Ball
State, Virginia. I mean, Virginia's not bad.
No,
not
they're
as bad
bad.
as Michigan.
They're 4-3. They're not a good football team.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you're talking about schedules. You're comparing schedules.
Get him, Roy.
Okay,
get him, Roy.
Do you think that Clemson could go to Eugene and play Oregon to a final possession?
Yes.
You're
Kate
insane.
Klubnik right now is 4th in the Heisman odds. Just want to let you know.
Yeah, because after the first two, the odds drop off. They're like plus 250, plus 350, and then it's like plus 1,500, plus 20. Yeah, so he's 4th because there's nobody else.
You know what this reminds me of? The scene in Goodfellas with Spider. All right, I don't try to shoot no more. He came, and you're about to bring the gun. All right, so we all love each other here. By the way, happy birthday to where is it? Ben. Ben's birthday is Saturday. He says he wants an Aggie victory. So we'll do it.
I hope you get a birthday wish, brother.
Yeah, me too.
Have you seen Goodfellas, by the way?
I have seen Goodfellas.
You know that scene?
Yeah.
It's a great scene.
It's a great scene.
You're not Spider in this house, buddy.
Here's a better question. If Ohio State played Clemson right now, who would you take? And in a neutral field, obviously.
Well, Clemson would probably be favored by 5.5, 6 points.
See, I think that's bonkers. Just because when you think about from a talent level. And I'm a big Dabo fan, actually, despite him being what turns into a complete weirdo sometimes. But I would take Ohio State over Clemson right now.
We're about to find out.
The good news is I think that we're at least in the conversation. This is a great conversation.
Way to bring it in, Matt.
And I think that the best part is that A&M is in that conversation as of this moment.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so by this time next week.
And it's late October.
Maybe not at all.
That's what
all right, we got to hit a break here. When we come back, we're going to play the fan show game brought to you by Prize Picks. More than or less than? What do you think?
Thinking more than on y'all stinking it up because
okay. Hold on. You know I love you, dog. Right? I got your back.
Yeah,
you got a little cocky today. A little cocky.
I'm sorry about it.
A little cocky, but I kind of like it though.
That's because if you put in 5, you get 50, right? No matter if you win or lose, if you play, you get 50. I'm one of those guys that win or lose, you got 50. He's more successful at this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Bow tie brothers.
LSU week, get cocky.
Yeah, you won't catch me in a bow tie.
Wouldn't that be South Carolina?
A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You won't. Like, I don't think I can figure out the math. Of, what do you do? Like, how does this work? I watch the YouTube video on Rewind because I can't fix the freaking bow tie. All right.
Clip-on.
Where's the clip-on? Moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They probably do have guys that wear bow ties there, but I can guarantee you they have great customer service when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You're asking yourself, I just want a car at a good price. Okay, well then Caldwell Country Chevrolet. I want great trade-in value. Okay, Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Can you give me complimentary oil changes? Actually, I can if you buy your car at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. See, I've answered every question you have out there. But David, it's a far drive. No, it's not. 15 minutes, Brian to Caldwell. Short conversation away. But you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Hey, we're back. One day, the stuff we talk about off air may be on air, but on a TexAgs After Dark kind of thing.
Oh, gosh, it'd
Dr.
be
Chad
bad.
bringing some
please no,
some vulgar. I'm kidding. TexAgs Live.
got a family.
I was kidding. It wasn't vulgar at all. Rollo Insurance Studio. By the way, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff is back. Aggieland's first green car wash is Aggieland Express Car Wash. 2 locations. You got the William D. Fitch one behind the Shipleys in South College Station, and the new location, 2528 Texas Avenue South in College Station, across from the Planet Fitness. So they both have all the varying washes options you want. But the Texas Avenue location does have the full-service wash, and it is fantastic. They'll take care of everything for you right there on Texas Avenue. And if you want to try it out, we're going to give one free one away, 979-693-1150. The first caller is going to get a free car wash from the Texas Avenue. You should do it, yes.
All price rules apply.
Texas Avenue. It's a $40 value. It is Aggieland Express Car Wash, 979-693-1150.
Go see my boy Nate, my best friend.
Nate Dogg.
My dude said behind Shipley's. My stomach was like, excuse me.
We know Matt's got his phone on.
We're going to go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. As a reminder, tomorrow we will be at the South College Station location there at the Angry Elephant. We're going to have Michael Early there. We're going to have the voice Andrew Monaco there, the McKinney brothers, Billy Lucci, Ryan Broniger, Olin Buchanan in short shorts. We go back to Matthew Dawson.
And the brunch menu is fantastic,
It's
by
great.
the way. Yeah, I highly recommend going. It's a great show. It's a ton of fun, and the food's great. The service is great.
Say hi to Greg Jasper, by the way. He's
100%.
awesome. Go ahead.
Reminder, Prize Picks, you're going to take more than or less than on player squares throughout the week. I mean, you got games, all the college football games. You got a barn burner tonight, Syracuse Pitt. Just take more than or less than a couple players that you like. And also use code TexAgs if you're signing up for the first time. Play $5, get $50 free using code TexAgs. It's free money. It's free money.
And you can even play the pros. Like I know Hunter, even though he's not here, like Hunter likes to play the pro as well.
Loves
Like
NFL. Yeah, Thursday night
it's a
football.
dynamic. Yeah, it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, you got NBA, all that stuff. But let's get started. What do we say? So we got
Lawyer
12.
stuff.
We got 12 player squares here. First one we're going to talk about. We're going to go quarterbacks. Riley Leonard, the quarterback in Notre Dame, who we're familiar with, is he going to have more than or less than 190.5 passing yards against Navy?
I'm going to say more because I think they're one of the best teams in the country.
I'm going to come across this desk at you. I'm come at you like a spider monkey.
All right, so I got more.
You're going to go more than. I'm going to go less than.
What?
I'm going more than.
I'm going less than 190 yards passing.
You know what? I think you've convinced me now that I think about it, because Navy plays a time clock controlled kind of game, and the triple option is always tough when you see it for the first time. You know what? I'm going to change this. I'm going to take less.
You were, bamboozled by my thought, and then you're like, you know what? He's right. He is right.
Well, and I was reminded that I actually just loathe Notre Dame, and I love Navy except for one time a year.
By the way, I didn't hear, how terrible did we do last week?
Well,
Nope.
Actually,
next.
majority of the table did well. The actually person who had the stinker was Hunter. All right, he went 3-9, and guess what? That's a 3-way tie now in second place. David, you took the lead. You went 8-4 last week. David is up now. Roy, you had a huge comeback week, 7-5. It is now a tie for second place between Matt, Roy, and Hunter.
Bro, this is like the meme where the dude's spraying the champagne, then you zoom out and he's in like third place. That's me. That's me. I went 7-5. Let's go.
So everyone is still like under 500 on the year, but
Didn't need to say it.
All right,
I'll do my best, Hunter.
Well, here we go. With a player that y'all know pretty well, Connor Wigman.
More than.
Is he going to have more than or less than 206.5 passing yards?
If he'd have said 406.5, you might have would have thought
More.
so.
I've seen the DBs at LSU give up yards. I say more than, especially if Le'Veon can run the ball. Do you agree with me, by the way?
I already took it.
Yeah, smart man.
I'm saying less because Moss is going to go insane on Saturday.
Moss.
Moss is going to go insane, and we're not going to need Connor to do that.
Moss.
That's why I'm going less.
Oh, David.
Sometimes.
Dude, that's a low number, 206. I'm going more.
Yeah, and he's only hit it a couple times this year, but I just like this spot. I'm with you, David. I like our secondary.
The tinglies, right? The Spidey
tinglies.
sense.
The Spidey sense.
Now, I can talk myself out of it knowing this. Both teams love to do time of possession, right?
Yeah.
Both are in the 32s. That could change how many opportunities, but I just think that their secondary being a little suspect, and if Moss opens them up in the middle, it's going to open up the Noah Thomas.
I mean, he's got to go north of 206.5 if we're going to score the 60 that we're obviously going to score.
Yeah,
I think LSU actually, they hold on to the ball more. They can actually they run pretty fast, but they're converting on 50% on third down. So I think that's like kind of why the time of possession maybe sort of, they're like 11th in the country.
They go clonk, first down. Clonk,
exactly.
Clonk, first down.
Exactly.
I'm glad I'm changing everyone's mind.
All right, next one.
Jalen Milroe is going to have more than or less than 247.5 passing yards against Missouri without Brady Cook.
Less.
More than. They're going to destroy him.
David, changed my mind. More.
I mean, I'm on a heater right now. Let's go.
I got to go less. He's been just unfortunately not spectacular this year.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, but unfortunate for my picks. So.
Yeah, I think it's very game script dependent.
Let me tell you, with Brady Cook not playing, I'm very curious what that offense is able to do.
Yeah.
More opportunities. I know he hasn't been running as much this year. I think he's going to be able to bomb away, so I'm going to keep mine.
I think he's going to be able to run a ton.
Yeah.
The next one, we got a pretty good game, underrated, under the radar. You were talking about this off air, Roy. We got Penn State going to Madison to play Wisconsin. Drew Aller, is he going to have more than or less than 204.5 passing yards?
It's a low number. I'm going more. I don't know anything about the guy, though.
Wisconsin's a really good secondary, I'll say.
He has thrown for, how many yards? I'm going more than. Thank you. I mean, he threw for 391, 237, 135 against Illinois. 309, 204, 216.
Yeah, after what happened last week against their Wisconsin, correct? More.
Man, they're going to have to play from behind. Go Badgers, baby. Jump around. I got more.
Jump around.
Alrighty, next one. We got
House of Pain.
The running back for Ole Miss, Henry Parrish Jr., playing against Oklahoma, and that's in Oxford. He's going to have more than or less than 72.5 rushing yards.
I think we can all say it at the same time.
We can all say more than.
More.
Yeah,
So you.
Unanimous.
All right, I mean,
although the
they got a
defense,
good run defense.
the defense seems to be the only thing holding Oklahoma together at this point.
Well, hold on, guys. Just in
I
case
kind of like the less than, but
well,
that's all
I mean,
you guys.
He rushed for 40 against Furman. He rushed for 165 and 133 in back-to-back weeks. 89, 62, 81, 42 against LSU.
It's a good number, then. That number's...
It's a good number. Well, and I think it's that way, too. Early in the season, they were kind of splitting a lot of carries. He's kind of taking over the backfield.
Right.
You know, it's funny. It's because he left Miami because the two guys in front of him, kind of Wade took over. And,
yeah.
I didn't expect him to be the guy heading in this year, but here he is.
Next.
We got, oh my gosh, this
Best
is a
player in the
huge
country.
number. Boise State running back, Ashton Genty.
Next quarter.
Is he going to have more than or less than 193.5 rushing yards against UNLV? That game is tomorrow night.
I mean, more or less than almost 200 yards rushing. That's
wild.
insane.
Here's a stat, all right? Boise State has 10 rushes of more than 50 yards on the year. The second best team in the country has 5, and it's Navy.
Wow. I would have guessed Army. Although Army is actually throwing the ball this year, which again always
You know
makes
what?
quarterback.
Hey,
running.
hey, I'm going for it. I'm saying he's going to have more than 193.5 rushing yards. That's crazy to say.
That's a
I'm going to say
number.
more.
Less than, and here's my why. I just don't see it continuing, and I believe UNLV, the last time I looked it up, or I heard it on the show today maybe, 20th in rush defense in the country. So I'm going to go less than.
What did he have against Oregon? 190? Was it? Or 140? I can't remember.
192 yards.
Against 192. Against Oregon. I'm going more than. Come on. This guy's insane.
This is just such a frightening number. I'm going to go less.
It's close to Halloween, too.
The number being that high.
The number's what scares me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a demon offer on there that I actually like better to have more than 2.5 touchdowns in the game. I don't hate that one.
That actually...
And that's a demon, so it's a higher payout.
That seems like a screaming take as opposed to 193.5.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns? He's had 3 touchdowns in like 3 games this season. So
I ain't afraid of no ghost.
Le'Veon Moss, is he going to have more than or less than 67.5 rushing yards?
Oh,
I think it says 84.5.
84. I forgot to change that number. Sorry.
Well, I'll take 60.
It is 84. It is 84. That sheet's right.
I think this is going to be unanimous more.
I think more. But
We
if
have
Connor's
to.
got to throw for, what was the number?
200?
200.
Yeah.
But we're scoring 60.
I'm just going to go more than. Because, I mean, he should have had 110 last week if it weren't for the penalties.
Hey, Matt. High five. Good pick. More than.
Thanks, man.
More.
All right, more's across the board. Here we go.
Thanks, new guys.
Yeah, that's generally just
generally,
in the tank.
Let's make this the last one for this segment. We'll finish on the other side.
Perfect. Caden Durham. Let's flip sides here. Is he going to have more than or less than 52.5 rushing yards?
He had 100 last week. I think 52 is a very low number. I'm going more than.
Good pick. Yeah, I'm going to go more than too. Just because we do give up a couple big runs here and there.
I'm going to say more than. Doesn't mean we let the running game take over, but more than 52. That's a little low.
That's a super low number, and he's the crux of their entire. Yeah, so I'll go more.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Varsity Grill House. You need to check them out. They're awesome, by the way. If you haven't been there, it's there on Highway 6 right across from the Academy. I went for a meeting last week, and I was like, you know what? You guys could leave I'm going to stay a little bit longer and have more of those ribeye tacos. The food is delicious. The atmosphere is incredible. Yeah, you can go for lunch. You can go on a game day and enjoy games while you're there. It's kind of like a sports bar / classy environment. You're going to love it. When you go, you're going to not only enjoy the food, you're just going to enjoy being there, being in a sports environment that you can take your wife to, by the way. Like, hey, honey, we're going on a date, but there's going to be a lot of football games going on. You're going to love it, though. White tablecloth, all that good stuff. Check it out there at the Varsity Grill House. Your home for good food, good times, and obviously an amazing experience. It is the Varsity Grill House. And we're back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the fan show presented by Prize Picks. FBS Appliance and their team of experts are here to help you with the appliances that make your house a home. They carry all the top brands to make your life easier with appliances that fit any budget. Caring for Texas since 1988, they have all your trusted brands like Bosch, expert staff, trained installers to guide you through the purchase. Because FBS Appliance wants to be your trusted appliance store. Visit any of their 8 showrooms across Texas. They got one right there on Welborn, right down the road, or online, factorybuilderstores.com. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Matthew Dawson continuing our Prize Picks game. Let's go with the final stanza, if you will.
We're in wide receivers now. Is the wide receiver for Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, going to have more than or less than 70.5 receiving yards against Nebraska at home?
Less.
More than.
Good pronunciation. More.
Thank you, Professor.
He actually is a professor.
Ohio State at home against Nebraska. I got more.
Yep.
All right, we got Jabri Barber.
More than.
More.
Whoa, you didn't even hear the numbers.
It's more.
30.5.
It's very low. they're looking at what he's done all year, not understanding the trajectory and what he is now getting healthy. I'm going more than a 30.5.
You play to win the
Also,
game.
too, ready for a crazy stat? Slot corners for LSU have allowed 34 of 38 passing for over 450 yards and 3 touchdowns in the season.
Which seems like more than 30.5.
Seems like more than 30 and a half.
Good math.
Thank you.
Kyron Lacey, is he going to have more than or less than 72 and a half receiving yards this
I'm going to say more just because I know they're going to have to throw the ball. Because hopefully they're way behind.
Yeah, I was hoping he wouldn't be that good. He's pretty darn good.
He's really good. They always have good receivers.
Right. Gross.
More.
Yeah, I got to go more. I hate to, but I got to go more.
Last one, Noah Thomas, is he going to have more than or less than 45 and a half receiving yards?
He's going to have less, but he's going to have 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
You know what? You guys talked me into it. I'm going more than that. You didn't. Everybody else did. Everything at Aggie's more than. Let's go.
Boo, Matt. More Noah.
He's going to have 2 touchdown catches.
What, both 2 yards? I'm going more.
But I'll agree, 2 more and 2 touchdowns, Matt.
I received an interesting text.
Read this one.
Yeah, I think we heard it.
This is actually I received an interesting text with some great information that I don't know if this is true or not, but I believe everything I read.
The show's almost over.
Yeah, let's put it out
LSU, this is from my father. Thank you, Dad. Terry Brown in class 72.
Mr. Browning, hello, sir.
LSU is playing back-to-back away games. Over the last 78 games where a team has had to play back-to-back games, only 8 have won both.
It's pretty big.
That's pretty big.
Keep it at 8.
It's one of those stats like when it's a quarter moon and
Good text.
The dew point is.
Hey, listen, man. You're talking about my dad here, okay?
He's a nice man.
Great job.
It's a great stat, but like again, I think this college football season is souls. It doesn't matter what's happening. Like it is.
Everything is
literally
insane.
game by game.
This is the most hostile fan
I
show
love
we've
it.
ever had.
We need to be like this
Good.
every
We're
time.
building to Saturday night.
By the way, this will make everybody feel better. Little Sluggers. The text line is brought to you by Little Sluggers. Age-appropriate baseball fundamental classes in Aggieland, Houston, Austin, Brenham for kids 2 to 8. Sign up for a free trial at codosports.com. That's codosports.com. Tomorrow, where are we, Matthew Dawson? Tell the people where we're going to be.
We're in the Angry Elephant.
Yeah, the one in South College Station.
The one in South College
We're going to
Station.
have Andrew Monaco. We're going to have Michael Early, Ryan Broniger, Billy Lucci, the McKinney brothers, OB, myself. We'll see you then.